of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Danielle, evaluation goal study. Obviously, Danielle, you threw out a bunch that you liked or that you kind of had implemented for yourself. I think a lot of council agree with that.
You did a nice job.
And I know Ken kind of passes on, but we've all seen these smart things, so we're suggesting, for you guys. So again, we did this with Laura, and I think it was great, as DDA board. And again, you know, can we set some goals and some standards and some measurable, goals, maybe over the next year, so that I think we can, give her a little bit even stronger evaluation. Yeah, I think it went well this year. I think we all kind of said the same thing here and there, but that way we're all kind of on the same page and be smarter. So with that, Danielle, you want to start with your 4 that you got there, or?
Yes, I can do that. So the first goal that I had was developing and implementing a staff development plan. And what I would like to do is some sort of team building or training with the staff. So I, my last job in Rollins, did this a little bit differently. We did quarterly trainings, or team building, and I say training, it's not always sit down and learn something. We would do, and I had 9 divisions under me there, so I planned the first one, and then the divisions would take over and I would just help them. So like, for example, one time we played cornhole and we did a little cornhole tournament, the staff, and we did some prizes. But it was just a way for us to all get to spend some time together, get to know each other a little bit better. And I think it helped us overall with our ability to work together. And so I would like to do something, we're small, so I think quarterly would be a little bit hard for us, but I'd like to try to implement something annually. One of the things that I do score lower in is the personnel. And it is challenging to do that. And I've spent, when I feel like I'm finally to a point that I don't feel brand new at the village anymore. And I feel like the first couple of years I spent a lot of like policy and documentation and kind of laying that foundation. And I think we've done a really good job with that. And I'm not saying that that work is done, but I do think that our focus needs to shift to the people a little bit. So that's why I did that goal. Obviously, any and all of these, you guys can say no or change the expectation or whatever conversation we want to have. But that's kind of where I was coming from that with that one, is bringing the departments together. And one of the challenges that I deal with regularly is we have really good departments that, like, internally they do great, but then they sometimes tend to compare their department to another department. So I thought it would help maybe with that a little bit, instead of getting us all to realize that we're under the village of Blissfield and that this department is just as important as this other one.
May I jump in on that one? As you state that, one of the things that we have done in the past, this school has been pretty successful. By no way am I a kindergarten teacher. Is that those working with those educated people difficult for me. However, what was cool is we spent not much time, but I went ahead and I literally swapped for about an hour and a half with the kindergarten teacher. And she came to my room because she is not well versed in 4th graders, 5th graders. At that time, it was actually 6th graders. So we went ahead and we swapped. I mean, she provided me with lesson plans and things like that, whatever I needed to do, and I did the same for her. I guess what I'm saying is what a perspective that gave me. I was there in her shoes on my own, And I kind of went, wow, I'm not saying the DPW would just say, hey, you're gonna go ahead and you're running that skip loader or that bolt loader or whatever, it would be dump truck. But I'm wondering if there's something, Danielle, that perhaps just throwing ideas on the table, that for a day, somebody, for an hour and a half or something, someone could chat, hey, this is what Maddie's job is like for an hour and a half, or something of that nature. That's not you, doing the work for that, but that still has an air of the team building to it, where they have that understanding of what it's like to go ahead and put themselves in someone's shoes. Just a thought, I mean, don't have to implement it, I actually think that's a great idea.
Yeah, so I myself, and I didn't put this as a goal, but I've been saying since I started here that I was gonna do this. I am gonna go spend it at least a day with every department. And I'm not going to tell them, actually, I'm just gonna show up and be like, all right, guys, I'm ready to work, and my only role is gonna be they have to teach me something new. And it's not to get them in like a gotcha moment, it's to just go learn what they do and have a better understanding, which is also something else I did in Rollins that was really successful. And worked really well, like I went to the landfill in Rollins and spent a day, and I found out while I was working the scale shack and like weighing loads in and out. Anytime a big truck would pull up, it would block the internet signal, and nobody had said anything, they just dealt with it. And I never knew that till I went and worked with them, and then we got it fixed, and they're like, this is such a lifesaver, we should have said something before, but like, they're like, we just dealt with it. So that's why it's not to try to get the employees like doing something bad or wrong, it's to hopefully help them or to have a better understanding of their job. So I am doing that regardless, I didn't list it as a goal, but I do like maybe other staff doing that too. And we have in the office been working on cross training, but we've not throughout the departments been doing that. And there are going to be some restrictions because we cannot all go be a police officer. And we cannot all go do, like, we can go to the water. Yes, absolutely. And we can go to the water plant, but we cannot make those decisions when we're not certified. But there obviously are other things we can do to still learn about what each other are doing.
Maybe have you rode in a plow truck, your plow snow?
I have not here, no.
That's one of the things I wrote down, walking around management. Going there, just like we're talking, take you a good idea. You roll with the plow snow.
I did plow in Rollins, but I have not here.
I really like the team building, your success metric. Something maybe with the, you can't do maybe, let's just go with the cross training of the employees per se. Maybe you can't do all, you certainly can't do them all in 1 quarter, but maybe that could be a goal for 2026, with January 1, until December 31, 26, to go ahead and say, I'm going to do 5 cross trainings or 5 cross sessions for the year, maybe 1 quarter or whatever it is. I mean, something of that nature. I would like it to be a little more specific, because that's what your SMART goals, you might have it. Specificity, is that what I want to say? That's the word, you got it. I think that would be something realistic. If we said something like 5 or 5, those things, or maybe 4, 1 per quarter, maybe that's a better number, something of that nature. I know that you told us how many employees before, but I think that would be something that would be attainable and realistic that you could do.
Departments. Plus, they're plus. Departments.
I would say it's 5, because it's police, wastewater, water, DPW, and then office or administration. I guess we do have Parks and Rec, but it's part-time and volunteers. I put Parks and Rec with administration just because it is that part-time employee. We have 26 full-time employees. So my only concern with that is we have 26 employees who all have a lot of workload. So I love the idea of cross training, but I just don't want to set such a high expectation that it's challenging, because what I'm not going to do is to do something to the detriment of the employees. And I don't want to pull them to cross-train so frequently that it impacts the
No.
work they have to get done. Because if we're doing cross-training
I don't know, if training is the right word.
or whatever,
Yeah.
shadowing,
Not shadowing, I don't know.
I'm still not gonna achieve
Right.
what I would normally
No.
achieve in a workday if I have somebody shadowing me. So it does impact the workload. So that would be my only thing I'd wanna be cautious
So
of.
that was where we would go.
And not,
I maybe even go up, maybe your workday 4 hours or something like that, and if you're trying to get a good feel, instead of an hour, I'd maybe 4 hours, and maybe since you have 26 employees, what if we said 5 per year? Cause that would be your, what, 1/5 or 20% of your work. So you would do 20% of your,
I like the one per quarter. You're impacting 2 employees, because you
I didn't
have
think
the
of it that
shadower and the
Oh,
shadow
okay.
B,
no, that's a
or
good point.
whatever you wanna call them.
Yeah, okay, so that would, maybe that's, yeah, one.
So that would be, if you do 1 per quarter for a couple hours, that's 8 employees a year that you're getting to see.
They can appreciate what each other does, and that is such a big. And then you can still go ahead with your 5. If there's the 5, you can go ahead and choose 1 per quarter as well. Or you could go ahead and you could spend that full day with them. With that department. Right.
I do like the idea of the other staff kind of getting the idea of what everybody else does and the struggles, the goods, the bads. I prefer to focus, since it's
Totally agree.
Danielle, she kind of on her. And again,
But this does lend itself to the morale of the
yes,
staff.
absolutely. And again,
Which
maybe
you
Rollins
can't
to help build trust and that sort of standoffishness between the different tiers in the chain of command. And I would much rather than you go hang out with the department head, you probably have a lot more communication with more like an officer or a DPW operator, something like that. And to where they can be like, you get a good 4 or 8 hours in, and you're like, this is, I want them to be able to feel free to give you input. And rather than you as a boss or whatever say, this is what we struggle with in the morning, or this doesn't work, or this works. Again, it's more about you kind of understanding, and that's why I like you being, I recommended. I would like you to make rounds to be out in the field and kind of experience what these people do day to day, because I think we're small enough to understand that. And I hope that would build that trust factor as well in that communication. Because again, much like at our meeting across the street, where we all talked about what Ben was like, okay, if you don't have trust in your staff and trust in your leaders, you really don't have anything. That's the first step. So again, where we kind of have that disconnect or that standoff, where people feel like they're not able to speak freely to you or speak to us, etc. Then maybe you're getting a little bit more of the know, like what are the struggles, what works well for them, where are they struggling, because I want you to sit there and listen, get their input and say, yes, I'll chew on that, and feel free to give you honest feedback.
Do you think 1 a quarter? I mean, once a quarter is.
I think that's sufficient, yeah.
Yeah.
So that kind of ties into number 2, which was the established regular check-ins with the departments to improve the 2-way communication. So that was where I said, I think like quarterly, I would go out and meet with each of the departments. I do want to notate with that goal specifically that this is going to be a fine line. I will say, I do not think the staff should be coming to talk to you guys, or vice versa, when it comes to specific job related duties. I would never tell somebody not to talk to you guys, but you guys should not be directing staff what to do. Nor should staff be jumping the chain of command. Like if they do have an issue, their first step should not be to go to council. It should be to work with their department head and or then myself and then you guys. And it's not that I want you guys to be out of the loop, but it's unfair to the supervisors and to myself if we're not given an opportunity to address something first. So I guess I just want to throw that out there that's
I would think
my,
would be the last line.
and that's how it's meant to be, so that you guys can be that checks and balance to hold me accountable and make sure that I'm doing my job, and my job is to hold the department heads accountable. So that's why I don't want them jumping to you guys, but I do think that. In the same, I would say like with the staff, like I do want to build better relationships with them, which is why I put the quarterly meeting, but if they have. A concern or an issue, it's not that I don't want them to bring it to me or they can't, but I'm going to ask them. Have you talked to your supervisor? Because in the same token, I wanna be fair to that supervisor too and not jump them and they were never given a fair opportunity to address the situation. So again, I put this goal in there, I'm good with it, I wanna make sure you guys understand my approach to that goal. Just, I guess, or if you disagree,
Well, with your
but
job shadowing aspect, that would actually, I think, fall under number 2. And then the develop and implement a staff development plan with the supervisors, that might be actually fall with them learning what other people are doing, and how other departments are operating, and what the procedure is for a call that comes in for DPW or for administrators and how they apply. So we're just trying to, I think, define our terms. Cross training is within the department. The job shadowing is department outside of their department as other departments. Yeah, learning like what you did with the learning scene with the trucks or walking the.
What do you
That's-
call that, Daniel? The special name, when you did that?
wait, I just think I
Just
called
called
it job
job
shadowing, yeah.
So. But just for a minute. That would be a good thing for us. Is to job shadow. And I totally agree with everything that you've said. It is, our authority does not lie individually. Our authority is collective. And so we cannot say to any other person, hey, why are, they come up to us, then we redirect them back. It's like kids with mom and dad. Dad says no, or I'm gonna go to this playground supervisor. I'm good, they go, talk to grandpa, they don't play that. So I think that's, but for us, for me, I'd love to do that. And to get a better understanding, so because there might be something that I would see that's in a blind spot. For somebody else, so similar to that. Signal being blocked. It's a total, fresh set of eyes for anybody.
I just want to be cautious with the inner staffing, just because again, we are very busy and we're short staffed. We know the front office short staffed, we know PPI is always got something going on PDs, sometimes we don't have shit built. So I don't want to take away from the productivity, you know what I mean? So I again, for Danielle wise, yes, I think it's great. At the lower level as can, rather than it's sort of,
As possible.
Yeah, and I think as far as for us and the job accountability in their time, obviously it would have to be as the department head would see fit. Okay, if you don't care, just follow me around the truck. Or come sit in the office and we'll show you what we do. Obviously, we're not going to interrupt anyone's job, but I think that it might be helpful.
it is a great experience. I did ride along with my dad back in the day, or
Awesome.
when they did my water line out there, I mean, just to see what it entailed,
Oh, yeah.
5 guys out there, almost 8 hours. The digging, the backhoe, the front end loader, the dump trucks, pickups, all the equipment, all the time, what they really do to get down and dirty, and then the tools and equipment, how crappy some of our infrastructure is. I mean, it really is a good experience for us just to get in and know and say, well, we're planning on these large scale projects or budget, things like that. We understand why things cost so much, what their job entails, and what we really need to focus on. You look at some of those pipes that are underground there, and just the equipment that they have to use, use to maintain their stuff. Fix stuff. It is a lot. So again, it's not trying to micromanage, but I think again, we're small enough to where say, if we want to be involved, make good decisions at council, we have the time, why not learn what we can? Everybody's got their niche. Mark Burgermeister was great. He was great about the roads because he had that background. So everybody brings something to the table. It just the more I think it helps us make better decisions. And again, it's not to try to elect authority or.
Well, and I'm not saying you guys cannot talk to staff, please don't hear that, I just wanna make sure that I don't. think-
Directives wise.
Correct.
Correct, directing them, yes.
Yep, yes, absolutely.
Have you experienced that in the past?
Not no, not recently, when I very first started, yes, but I would say not in quite a while. I just wanna make sure when we set the goal, you understand
Well,
what,
I agree with you. You're the one that's setting the limit.
Kind of ironic we're talking about this very subject just come up this morning at my second office. Just, it came up because there
No,
was
second
one of our
No.
personnel
McDonald's is the second office.
had breakfast with his dad a lot.
I try not.
And he said something about, his kid works for the village. He said, well, you're his boss. I said, I'm not his boss. His boss is so-and-so, and his other boss is the. I said, the only time I would ever see him is if there was something super serious that would come to the whole council. So the misconception sometimes out there is that we are 26 employees boss. We're not.
I'm gonna throw something out at you guys, just to see what you think. So as we're discussing, I'm looking at the smart goals here, and, example, Danielle will job shadow one department each quarter for 2026. January 1 through December 31, 2026. Are you guys comfortable with something like that being written down? I mean, that's stuff specific.
Yep.
So Danielle will job shadow, and Danielle, you're cool with it.
In the administration, she sees every day, so again, water, sewer, DPW, police, there's your one per quarter, that's pretty.
So Danielle will job shadow one department each quarter for 2026, beginning January 1 through December 31. And that way, she would be, it's very specific and it's doable, and we all have that agreement, it's not just one person doing this. Agreement on this.
and this will be, you guys will vote on these and
Okay.
my evaluation officially, because you've not
Right.
adopted that either. At the next meeting, hopefully. What's that? Yeah, if I can get all the goals typed out and, because I'd like to try to send them, you guys make them that.
You guys one, I'm not sure how you guys feel about this then, I don't know what the verbiage would be, but essentially. Similar, Danielle will allow one department member. And another department member to. Job shadow each other, one per quarter. I don't know if that's the right verbiage, if that's what you're thinking.
If you want me to shadow each department per quarter, then I would ask that we amended that to 2 per year. That we do like inter-department job shadowing or something,
Why is that?
workload. I just don't, because again, if I job shadow you, you're not gonna be as productive as you would without me shadowing.
So
And
semi-annually?
that, yeah, it just so we're not, because I don't, if I'm already job shadowing them 1 day per quarter. And then we do another day, I don't want to impact what they're able to get done workload wise.
I don't see it that way, but I don't do this every day. I only say that because your job shadowing, you're not gonna be. I'm job shadowing Tim. I don't expect Tim to go ahead and stop and tell me everything that he's doing. Not pretending I'm you, okay? I would expect Tim to just go ahead and do your job without explaining to me what he's doing and why. And then he would say to me, when we're digging up this line, grab a shovel. You know what I'm saying? There's not gonna be that dialogue. In my opinion, that doesn't take away from the constructive work. Well, let's be real, sort of, kind of does. I can see that happening. But that's how I view a job shadow.
So I'm not gonna be able to sit there and not ask a question.
No,
Because that's gonna be part of.
So that's,
So
okay,
I think if I'm shadowing Tim and I'm watching him, he's gonna do something, I'm gonna be like, wait, Tim, why'd you do that? And it's not, again,
And that
it's not
doesn't
gonna be
take away
that
the
Tim was wrong, but I'm gonna wanna know,
I see what
like,
you're saying.
Why, what are we doing?
Okay,
there?
yes, or
Why are we,
understanding.
no, that's why we're talking about, okay. I'm not opposed then to the sign, really.
Well, can we start with Danielle and then maybe if it goes well,
Nope, I
get her
see
through
both.
this year, then you wanna do both?
Yeah, I really do. I think that that's really important for the staff to do that.
Are you saying for all staff to interdepartment?
I'm saying. what
And
Danielle
would that
said.
be in place of the annual, like, training, or?
Yes, there is no training.
Okay, so instead of doing
This
an
would
annual
be a
training,
team build, it would be a team
it
build,
would be the,
team building. It'd be team building, no training, team building, and that would happen. Tim and I would do it for one half of the year. And then you guys would go ahead and exchange jobs another half of the year, and that would impact 4 employees out of the 26. How do you feel about that? And this, well,
I said Danielle to do one of each quarter.
oh, I totally agree with Danielle,
Or your son.
but I wanna, I, this thing with Danielle, that's no brainer, that's for sure. But I'm saying, I think it should be.
I think that what I would rather see, okay, is that it be some kind of team building goal. And that you let the department heads and myself work out what would work best for our schedule and makes the most sense. So maybe instead of you giving me such a strict goal for the shadowing between the departments, you just give a goal that I will work with the department heads to do some sort of team building. And then my accountability for that is reporting back to
How many?
you, how many
Okay.
and or what we're doing.
Okay.
And that way I can get feedback from the department heads and the supervisors and say what's going to work with our workload and our schedules and what's gonna be the most impactful to us.
Okay,
And then July next year, we'll know whether or not we want more or less.
Right, and then on top of that, I will shadow the departments each quarter
okay,
myself, but it won't be me sending Lisa to shadow DPW or.
okay.
Uh,
So what would your SMART goal be then? Danielle will do what?
Well, I think create and implement a development or team building plan. And create, does that sound good, to you guys?
So basically, just what you have written down.
Yeah, similar.
For number-
I think I said development, but
Oh, number 2 is what we had already,
That was what we did the way
Yes,
first, that's
yeah.
right, okay.
yeah, so I think I think I said development plan, but you could say team building plan.
I like that, okay. So create, implement, and team building plan. For supervisor?
Yes.
Okay,
right,
with your specifics then, what's your original,
So I think I will report to you the frequency and what it is that we're.
so she'll establish the plan, and then if it isn't completed within the year,
right.
that's what we hold her
And
accountable
the other
to.
thing is this is the year, Mike, you just stated that too, or somebody, it'll be next July, it won't be December 31, like I had stated.
Well,
Okay,
Our evaluation time.
okay, so within that time frame, you'll have maybe 3, you won't maybe, you can still do 1 per 4, whatever, okay. And I'll just say for 2026. Is that okay? Is that okay? Yeah. Well, I don't care, these is written down, and I'm sure. Perhaps not, okay.
No, I do. I have.
for the job. I'm writing.
I had it written down. Right.
The third goal that I've had, and I don't know if you guys know this about me, I'm a little bit of a control freak, so it is to delegate more effectively. I said identify routine responsibilities or special projects that could be delegated to staff to prevent burnout and develop the team capacity. The metric for this, and we can change this, but I said to delegate at least 2 recurring responsibilities or roles to qualified staff. By the way.
2
I
per year?
recently delegated 2 tasks.
You know what, we're gonna put down on this whole, Lisa's gonna tell us if she's doing it or not.
I'm the evaluator.
You are. Okay, but,
Supposed to do-
so
What is it?
we have a, it's really a simple one, but we meet every Monday at the office, just to go over our schedule, the office staff
Okay.
that. So Laura, Lisa, Maddie, Brandon and I, and we talk about what our schedules are for the week, if there's things going on that, you know, this customer might come in and we all kind of need to know, or it's usually just usually like a 30-minute kind of group Monday morning, just so we all kind of know what's happening for the week. And I asked Maddie to take notes and send out summaries for that instead of myself doing it.
That is a big deal. Yes,
Yes,
it is.
I'm not going to lie to you guys, I'm a little bit of a control freak.
Let me ask you, when she typed it up, did she do it then?
Yeah, she's done it
Mhm.
3
Yeah.
times now?
Yeah.
Twice?
How's it looking?
No, 3 times, I think.
I think today was the 3rd.
Yeah, it's good.
So I think it's because maybe you're certain she's gonna type it like you would, make it sound.
I mean, it's just a pretty easy summary, but
It
it
is
still takes time.
Summary, but
You're not doing it and she is.
So
it's just a general summary.
yes, it's just, yeah, what she's been doing is she'll put Danielle and just anything that I discussed or brought up. And we do that because it helps if any of us missed anything, or with Brandon being hearing impaired, it gives him the opportunity to visually see what was communicated, just to make sure nothing was missed.
It's also CYA. I told you guys this, if something were to be,
Yes,
I mean, it needed.
right, yeah.
What was your other task?
I gave to Brandon and it was something with utility billing. I was all proud of myself too about it. I can't remember.
You also did the medical bag too.
Oh, yeah. delegated
I was
the
very
rest.
proud of that. We're taking turns,
So we're taking turns. doing
Which it should be
inventory
that way.
medical now.
which it should be that way so everyone knows what's in
It's
it.
just our first aid bag that we have here at the village office with all of our supply. It's got the AED, it's got bandages, it's. I mean, just kind of general stuff, but that way we know what's in there. We make sure that it's not expired. So we're taking turns inventorying
That's
that.
good, because then again, you know where stuff is if you need it. You're not always gonna be here, so you don't want to say first, do it over.
That being said, I know I'm kind of joking about, I do really need to do better at this, and like, I know these seem like little things, but they do take time, and having Maddie take meeting summary notes does help me out a lot and balances my workload, so I did list it as a goal.
It was for the first time in parts.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
But you're also recognizing and
I do know it's a challenge for me, yes. I am very aware
so
of
how,
it.
so not trying to be smart, how do we measure that then now?
Well, I think I'm going to have to report to you guys, and I think you could check in with, because
I'm
this
sure these.
task is most likely going to impact the other office staff. Not just Lisa, because I have a fellow control companion in this room. So,
You said over there.
Yeah.
yeah, right over there.
It's not. Yeah, but it's, you're right, I do.
And I'm giving her a hard time too. You really can check, please.
Well, for me, the delegation is, you've got your role, you are running the day-to-day operations of this village. And again, for these small little tasks that may pop up at a council meeting or something, I think that's easy, you know. Hey, can Pete, the night officer, check the street lights, you know, and write down what's burned up, you know what I mean? That should be simple for you to be like, that's beyond, you know what I mean? You can shovel that down and say, hey, can chief, or one of your officers, maybe write this down.
Which they do.
So again, something like that is very simple. It's these sort of small, minute tasks.
It might be simple to you, but when you're a control freak, it's not
I
simple.
understand that, but she has much more.
I'm just saying.
Again, cleaning out
The
the,
one end of the control freakness to it.
yes, cleaning out the, cleaning out the football equipment and stuff like that. Yes, it was needed. Same with the pool.
She did it initially, now she
There's,
knows what
there's,
to do with
she
it.
spends a lot of time at the pool where, again, that should fall back on the managers or DPW or, you know, what I mean, that kind of operation. Again, thank you for doing that, but again, you have a village.
I will say
so
this,
that's-
I know something else that she did, she did that, she did delegate on the Parks and Rec, going to Sam's Club. I did that last week.
Good.
I mean, which was awesome, because there, I mean, when she needs to pick up the things, we talked about it, said, no, it was like, it's like on the road from Sam's Club, she said, let me know, I can try to pick it up, or I'm remote, and you did that as well, as everything. And that's the kind of stuff that.
And again, I am very self-aware that this is a, issue that I have or, so I do know, and I am working on it, and like I did spend far less, I was barely at the pool this year. Now that being said, I'm not going to stop helping. I'm not,
Didn't think you initially, you could be there.
Are you technically the manager of the pool?
Brian is the manager. So I, like this year, I help him get everything kind of set up and ready to go. And then once the season starts, the only time I was there is if they had an issue. Or like I would stop by if I had stuff to drop off, and I would drop it off and just check in and be like, hey, how are you guys doing? Are things going good? But I was not out there this year. I did not do any of the scheduling for the staff. I mean, really.
Are you running events out there as well?
I did do a couple Parks and Rec, but not by myself. Like I did help with some things.
So are you responsible?
Like I did not go to the triathlon at all. Did not do anything with that.
So
That's out
I
there.
saw you at Blissfield on tap.
Yes,
She is.
I am on that committee and I do volunteer to be on that committee.
Well, I read a lot of the work plans, and that may be your question too, you know, I mean, a lot of it was like Danielle, and I asked her about that, and she said, well. You're
For
kind of
the cool
go-to,
stuff, I
but you have a
report
lot
to
of-
the
you have
Parks
a
and
lot of-
Rec board.
yes, But you have a
So-
lot of people helping out with that.
Yeah, like I report the swim lessons. I don't do it really. The only thing I do with the swim lessons is open online registration and I print a roster and that is it.
It looks like Danielle's in charge on the Parks and Rec thing, because she's the one that.
But I'm
starts it.
reporting.
She's doing the reporting. But Pam Parks does all the, swim lessons now. Very good. The other
I
thing
did
told-
do the splash and float at the pool.
But I was out there with her, so that was a collaboration.
Yeah, and Kelsey was out there for that.
Oh, yes, that's right, she was out there.
So is there a written or unwritten expectation for the village director or administrator to volunteer for certain amount of hours per week, or to be involved in certain things? I mean, I know that there's a balance between being aware of oversight as well as hands-on oversight or hands-off oversight. But I don't know if there's an expectation of, I mean, just like, I think that there's an expectation for all of us to be part of something with all that goes on. And I know that we cannot be at every event and do everything. Is there a written or unwritten expectation that she or whoever is in place to do that as well?
Not that I'm aware of. When I first started, the first couple years, I know that some of the feedback that I got from council is that I need to be at the events and in the public and interacting as well as attend the committee meetings. And that was, I want to say, listed as a goal, not last year, but the previous evaluation.
To be part of it. To do all of it.
I don't know that it was to be part of the event, but to attend the events and be like in the public where where I had a public presence.
Approachable or, yeah, out in public at least, so,
Yeah.
meet people, and then we're a small, tight-knit community. And again, she kind of goes above and beyond in the volunteer realm.
Yeah.
I would much rather her be the oversight person or again, the day-to-day operations. Thank you for being on Rotary and spearheading some of these events, and things like that. But I would much rather that fall back on volunteers. Get Danielle is the operations. I don't want to burn her out. That's my concern. I would never want to say, Danielle, I expect you to put in after hours to do this many events or something like that, because she has enough on her plate in just the operations. That's
And with as many events that we do have that take place during our business hours. Personally, I think your presence there would be sufficient.
yes,
And you do not have to stay extra, don't have to come in on extra days. I get it, because it being small, it's a double-edged sword. Because we need to be part of what's going on. But at the same time, we can't be part of everything, but we also know that if we're not participating, it may not go the way that we're wanting it to go. And so we need to be there a little bit more often. I get it, and it's gonna be kind of a push you, pull you kind of an event all the time.
Well, and I think that the events, honestly, are Parks and Rec. And we are struggling with. I think there's been some struggles with Parks and Rec. For Danielle has had to step in when Eric made an accident, when we were in that interim. Danielle definitely had to be there. Go ahead and run the show at that time. I think that there are still some concerns with our current director. And in my opinion, Danielle and I have talked very honestly, candidly with one another, that I think sometimes that she's doing more than what needs to happen. In my opinion, I can try to do this. Yes, the team. And so what we did is approximately 2 weeks ago, I met with Danielle, myself, and Emilio, and we talked. And one of the things we definitely determined was that there has to be a committee for the event. Danielle's name, let's pretend, can be there. So let's say, for example, the day of the triathlon, Danielle's name was there. But there has to be, I mean, these events, there has to be 2 other people for life, or we just can't do it. So Danielle's name's there, Brian Sill's name is there, and Emilio's name is there. Okay, on Blissfield on tap, Danielle's name was there, but then there was James Eisen, there was Ben Forkey, and Emilio, and I can see Jake. I mean, it was a whole crew of people, so her name was there. However, on some of the sports things, we've discussed that was somewhat of a challenge in the office, and a template was created. And the template was created with Lisa and all of the office staff having a discussion. So when a phone call is made, the same questions are kind of being asked, and they weren't having those answers. A lot of that was them having to try to kind of got all over the place. Anyhow, now they have a template that they're using. There is now a template that's going to be used for these work plans. We were saying work plan B2B, work plans need to be there. They weren't getting there. I hope that they're there now. I saw the Park and Rec plans are agenda for tomorrow, and the plans are done, and they are done according to what we had talked about, which is a big improvement. And that is something we are discussing tomorrow at the meeting, is that really I have something that I'm going to try to implement tomorrow. And just walking the dog in February. Anyhow, I've got to have 2 other people from Parks and Rec that are going to join me, or Tim's going to join me, you're going to join me. I have to have a group of 3. I have to. If we don't have a group of 3, we're not doing it. Because what I think has happened is it wasn't getting done. And I think Danielle was doing it. But we would all do the same thing. You need this. I don't want it to fail. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to jump on board and help it not fail.
But her role should be as the oversight, not the volunteer, because when you're volunteering, you get that tunnel vision, right?
That's why we met, the 3 of us met. That's why we came up with the specifics for the work plan.
But I think that's where we're gonna have to have serious conversations about, because Gwen and I have talked about this, and she's right. I'm not gonna stand by and watch a train crashing and just be like, wow, look at this train wreck. Like, I'm gonna jump in and make sure it doesn't. And that's what's happening. And what really should be happening is saying, we need to take a hard look at that event or program or thing and say, if it's gonna be a train wreck and we don't have the people to run it, I'm not gonna jump in and make it happen, we're not going to do it. Instead of it falling, me feeling like I've gotta carry this.
I'm not a huge
uh,
volunteer on the event side, but I like to come down and sort of be the mole or just see it overall rather than a volunteer where you're so busy and television or focused on doing the event.
But you
If she was kind of just there again to be personal and talk to people, and I was walking down to the festival the other, a couple weeks ago, and going down the hill, first thing I heard somebody walking beside me like, oh man, this thing gets worse and worse every year. You know what I mean? So it's when you just, as an outsider, kind of hear that
Oh, no, I
stuff,
agree,
and then
yes.
you can give input, and I would much prefer Danielle, again, her role being the village administrator, to sort of just be an oversighter, but not too busy where she's.
However, I'm gonna say this on her behalf, I don't know if you will or not. Some of the Parks and Rec stuff, a lot of the Parks and Rec stuff, she loves, she digs it, that's her thing,
Yeah.
okay? So.
As long as it's not
It's not-
burning her off from,
No, no,
or
no.
taking from her.
Mike, you and I are on that same page, I can assure you board that we are on that same page, none of us want our administrator to be burnt out. But I also know her well enough now that she digs the Parks and Rec stuff, and you like being a part of that group. I mean, and some of that, yeah, it takes her time, but some of that is truly her choice. It's not, she's not doing it as the administrative role. She's doing it as, I dig this, I like this, I like the glow, I love the glow party. She loves the glow party. If she loves the glow party, have at do the glow party, but she also understands, I think with these other things that we've got going on, then it'll all work out better. I mean, this is the first time we've ever talked about goals like this, you guys, it's never happened. And so we all came on board like this and said, hey, these are gonna be your goals, but we all agree upon the kind of go nilly. But we also know you better. We're working as a board together. So that's my 2 cents and where I think that it's coming with the assisting, and I think again, specifically the Parks and Rec.
And I do agree with you, Mike, too. I have tried to do a lot better at that. And like, again, I feel like I'm not new, so I kind of can be like, you guys need to take this and get, handle it and get this program going. Like, I don't have to learn what you're doing because I know now.
She already knows it, she's done it, she's experienced it, she knows how long it's gonna take to distribute that soccer equipment. She knows how long and what needs to be done to have a successful, year on tap. She has under her belt, which is something you want your administrator to know too. Just like you're saying about the department. I think it's really nice if you know what's going on, she's done it, she can appreciate it.
So are we keeping goal 3 right now? Is that kind of,
Oh, yeah.
I'm just making. So the last goal that I had, and this one probably seems a little bit weird, but you guys throughout my evaluation had said work-life balance. And I really was thinking about it, and I was thinking, how do they measure that? Or what's something that I can do to help with that? And then I started thinking, like, why do I not, what am I doing after hours at home that I should be doing at work? So that's kind of where this came from. I don't know if it's gonna be perfect or work, but I thought it maybe would be worth a shot. But I said to block out weekly periods of like meeting free uninterrupted time. And the reason I thought this might help is I will sometimes come in on Fridays and I'll work for 4 hours. And on those Fridays, because we're closed at the office, those 4 hours, I get more done in those 4 hours of uninterrupted time than I do Monday through Thursday when I'm here all day long, just because I'm constantly, and this isn't a complaint, I want the employees and the residents to come talk to me, and I want to be in the meetings and things happening, and we're doing a lot of good things, but I don't have that time to just sit down and focus, or I'm trying to do a task and I get, what should take me 30 minutes uninterrupted really is taking me 6 hours because I'm constantly having to come back to it.
So could you designate a time? Like your Monday through Thursday, like every week designate, okay, this is my time that I'm gonna catch up my.
That's what 4 is. I was thinking of trying, is that I'm gonna tell the staff. And I didn't want to commit to say that every Thursday afternoon, because if we have staff that need to be off or that are out or whatever's going on, maybe every Thursday doesn't work, because I also don't want to negatively impact them, but I do want to stay at, like on Monday when we have our meeting, to be able to tell the staff, hey, Tuesday afternoon is free, I'm gonna block out and close my door from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock so that I can get some stuff
Do
done.
you think it would be easier to do that on a weekly basis, like on your Monday morning, because you're gonna already kind of know what your schedule looks
Yes.
like for the week.
And I'm gonna know who's off and things and what, cause again, if Lisa and Maddie are both off on Tuesday, I don't wanna tell Brandon I'm shutting my door and then.
You're all in.
Yeah, so and that's where I was kind of thinking a week to week, but still designating that specific time that I can just go in there and focus. And that's not to say, if I close my door and something major, like get me,
Right,
open the
right,
door, don't
Right.
let the village burn down or something, but.
And obviously with that goal, you know that you can accomplish a lot more hours if you're on your.
Yes, and my thought was if I could have that uninterrupted time here, then I wouldn't have to take it home outside of work or after hours, or come in on Friday.
You know, I'm talking about life. How many days do people get home after 8:30?
How many
At what
days a
time?
week? At
Any given
least
week.
Because of work. because of
Minimum.
work.
Talking about work and life.
minimum 3. Usually,
Because
Because of work.
And
Yeah.
meetings.
like catch up for meetings.
catch up meetings,
Are you ex officio at every committee meeting?
So say, what meetings are you in?
every meeting. The only time I miss a meeting is if, there's something with my kids, like, James not playing football this season, but last year there was a couple football games, unless it's a council meeting, I try. The only time I miss council is like if I have a long vacation or something. And I try not to do that, but if it's like Parks and Rec and my kid has a football game, I will go to the football game instead.
You go to all the DDA meetings.
I go to DDA, Parks and Rec,
Staff right
Planning
there. Why do you go to all
Commission,
the DDA
and then
meetings?
all of the council meetings.
Is it necessary?
I think that, oh, yeah, absolutely.
Why, that's gonna be smart, why?
Because again, she is the day-to-day operations and she is that sort of, Laura is the go-to person, but Danielle oversees the village, and for her to see everything that's going on with the amount of budget and the amount of things that go on for the DDA. I think Danielle needs to be involved in those. It's always been that way. It's run successfully. I prefer her to be at those meetings. Again, she's salaried. I expect her to have a work-life balance. So again, I don't expect her to sit here for, 40 hours a week and get up and leave. I get much like Laura's position. There's give and take, but again,
But you feel the DDA meetings are, it's once a month,
I
right?
help it. I think that the administrator being there is a good person to get input to say. To look at the overall operations and how budgeting, things like that, just that oversight is good for. Sitting as the DDA member. You could rubber stamp anything all day long because you think again, we transferred $85,000 from the general fund. It's easy to say as a DDA member, yes, this makes sense, but when you talk about overall the effects on the rest of the village, I think it's good. And same with planning, same with Parks and Rec, and I know. It's different, having family and things like that, I would never push that side of stuff away, but I prefer you to attend meetings as much as possible.
So Parks and Rec, planning and DDA.
And
What else is there?
council, absolutely, you need to plan
Well, yeah.
accordingly, and we know, every 2 weeks is a council, meeting, so. Try to make your vacations and things like that work around it. Work-life balance we're talking about, make sure she has enough. I think the staff, the administration, go to 4-day work and then having a 3-day weekend. I think that definitely helps. She's got vacation time, she's got kids and family, things like that, yes, but again, it's more efficient, it's proven that if you sit down for a 10-hour, you're having 8 hours a week, it's all split up in chunks. I think giving her, I think all of our staff up front have a 3-day weekend. Or downtime.
Is it on the Fridays? Is it kind of that thing then, Danielle, how you were saying the 4 hours per week? Is it Friday I know you come in to meet with one individual at times.
Yes, and that's based on their availability and the link to meet with them. So I do that because I'm trying to work with them to address some things and to be more efficient and productive. And that's when they're available. And then
They, I'm not trying to be smart. It seems like you're working with their schedule, but not your schedule.
Absolutely not. It's not, that's not okay.
And then I typically will meet with them for 30 minutes to an hour, depending. And as needed, sometimes it's canceled. And then I typically stay for another 3 to 4 hours. Right. And that's in the office, so I do work remotely.
Right.
Almost if I don't come in for that meeting, I typically on Fridays will work remotely. I'll usually drop the boys off when they're in school. Drop them off in the morning and then usually have a cup of coffee and around like 8 o'clock. And then I'll work usually until about noon so that I can do some stuff. And then I pick up the boys every Friday. Cause that's when they're in school, that's the one day I can do that.
I would like to suggest that an appointment on Friday, not happen on Friday.
Can we help you make that happen?
Yeah, I'll just talk to them about what other day we need to do.
I inconvenience that person.
Yeah, it's on one you're driving back in and have to call it out. No.
I know, but that's always the easiest thing. Works from home, I can't recall, who's working from home. Then I know they work
Part-time.
They work part-time and I think, and one of their work from home days, they can come in and get their butt ready for the seat before 6 o'clock. Before 6 o'clock, not after 6 o'clock, before 6 o'clock. It has to do with their work. And, that person not happy about it, that's what those are the directions. I figure out your board gave you. You can throw us a new box. My board said.
That's not very sure. So, and I want to go back to the other committees that you would send these. Are you involved with their agendas? And helping them form the agendas, or are you giving the agendas ahead of time?
DDA, no. Planning Commission, Maddie prepares those agendas now. And really does everything. She does copy me when she sends that to the board. And then I do still help her when it's something, we have the special use revocation. None of us have ever done that. I help her with that. And I say I help her, like, she did the staff report and then I review just to make sure, and just kind of help her with those things. But outside of that, she fully does it. And then Parks and Rec, I am responsible for part of that agenda. So Emilio is over the programs. I am over the pool and the park facilities. So if it's park facility and pool related, I report on it. And then any of the programs he does. So typically with the Parks and Rec agenda, I'll prepare my portion. Send Emilio an email and say my portion of the agenda is completed. He'll do all of his and then he sends that out and then copies me on it. And again, that one's a little bit different because I specifically report on the facilities and I say I'm over facilities. DPW helps me with those. Like, it's not just me, but I'm reporting to the board those things.
So I'm wondering and again, I'm remembering what Glenn said about the buildings of the parks, right? But if that might not also be an area to let go of some of that. Have your input with the agendas. Ask Laura to give you copy you on the agendas, and then you can give input prior to, and then not saying that you never attend meetings, but all of the budgets for all of the departments have been pre-approved by those individual departments and then approved by us. And so we're all, and then we have our every other Monday meeting to approve what we have already approved that had already been approved. And I'm just wondering if we need to have all of that approval all of the time and all that oversight. Because then we've created a bit of, we're just continually micromanaging. And yeah, there are gonna be times where you've got to do unique situations, of course, emergencies, of course. But as far as the general operation of the village and what we do and what the departments are doing, if your input prior to meetings, it really isn't, is really sufficient. And not your attendance at every meeting. Because these are all PDAs once a month, Parks and Rec is once a month, and then what's the other, planning's once a month? Okay, so they're not all in the same week, or they are all in the same week?
No, planning's first Monday, Parks and Rec is third Tuesday, and DDA is second Wednesday.
Okay, so now we include our second and fourth Mondays, our committee of the whole. That's a lot.
And then, well, Rotary's during
And then-
the day.
Rotaries during the
Yeah,
day.
except for the last Wednesday of the month, which, and I don't have to go to those, and I do miss Rotary, if work is my priority, if I have something going on here, I don't go to Rotary.
Rotaries always good.
Yeah.
For everybody.
Yes, yeah.
I am gonna say that
I don't disagree with Ken either, that I do think it's important for me to be at. I'm gonna specifically talk about DDA and Planning Commission. It is important for me to be at those, I think, as needed and especially during budget, but I do not think that every month there's something for me. Last month with DDA, I sat there and did not say, oh, and you got, I mean, and did not, I was not needed. I did not. I'm not complaining about being here either, by the way, but just,
it's not like very.
I get it, but that's in the job description, it was spelled out, I mean, I think from the past. I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel when it's work. Again, yes, I want you to have plenty of time for yourself. But again, if you have to take 2 hours to attend a meeting, then maybe you come in 2 hours late, one of these days, again. She is the day-to-day operations, she can get the input on ordinances, on budget, on a lot of stuff when these things pop up. I think it's critical that she, as the day-to-day operations of the village, who knows how to communicate with staff, DPW, things like that, with PD. As as the expense pop up, or as Christmas stuff gets put up, again, she's that go-to person, if she's in the know. I think it's critical that she attends the meeting.
Well, that's a good point, Mike. What if you come in later on those things? You're gonna feel like it's really your crunch for time, right? It's not your day.
yeah, that is, we have actually talked about that too. So I do sometimes try to sneak out early. In fact, I have regularly been sneaking out early on Tuesdays by like 15.
Oh,
Well,
But it is, it's, the challenge is that balancing the act. If I come in 2 hours later, I am reducing my work time, or I'm getting less done, or like Mondays, we've talked about, I'm like, well, I'll just come in later. Well, that's when we have our team meeting, and Mondays work really well because it's before the rest of the week. Like, there's just no perfect time it would be easier for me to leave early, but I'm not gonna leave early and then come back for a meeting either. So it is a balancing act of
Our 6 o'clock meeting said.
the 6 o'clock and all.
I mean,
A lot, yeah.
for you as well, I think.
But even, I mean, I got home our last meeting and my family's like, what are you doing? You had a meeting. Did it get canceled? I'm like, oh, we're done. I mean, so even my family notices the difference with the 6 o'clock.
I'm just wondering if that's where the delegation ties too,
What?
where she come in a little bit later. The more you delegate, the less workload. That's something that's.
she's focused on her important.
which would also mean less meetings she attends. so
I don't
she
like
has
it when I
to
see
stay over.
you're driving through town at 8:30 at night, I'm thinking. just happen to be out and see you. You don't see me.
No, I see you sometimes.
So,
I try to, no, I'm just kidding.
You're hard to miss in that bus, Tim.
I know sometimes I come in and
Let's
these guys.
see where they hear too.
They're eating through your lunch and things like that. Again, it would be nice if once a week, minimum, you get out of your office, you're not eating your packed lunch and working through it. Again, you guys, the office, they get paid lunch, right? Because they kind of come and go, but they're still getting within that 10 hours. So again, get out, go to a restaurant, go talk to the public, go chill, go Goose Frog Rock, drive in the park, sit in the park, drive, you know what I mean? Again, that is, won't make you rounds, but it's also giving you some downtime, give you some breathing time. Give you some time to get the heck out of here and not have to eat over your computer. I think that's fair to say. That gets the office and breaks it up where she's not gonna be out of. Secondly, I know a lot of you guys like the weekly meetings and whatever your schedule is. We all did that 7 hours. That's almost the whole entire workday of us having meetings, but then we want to talk about micromanaging or whatever. Is that a little bit too much where that becomes inefficient? And again, I know you guys get a lot of that. So.
Regularly.
Okay, so we're not doing that
No,
anymore.
when I first started, yes, but now it is as needed.
Okay.
So Tim and I have a rolling meeting set up and when's the last time we met?
So a few weeks ago.
It is
But it's
probably,
not a scheduled. Tim's coming in at 2 p.m. on Tuesday, right?
well, it is a scheduled time. It's a roll, but we will, like, I will cancel on him or he meets regularly.
Well, and that's something I'm going to change, because I've never had anybody really tell me what I got appointed to come for. I think I'd have, Gary, what do you do? I mean, with the department heads, go once a week. So if that's really not an expectation, I mean, it's good for me. We take about 30 minutes. That's it.
Yeah, it's not.
Usually people are coming in and out where they do.
And that may be.
And
better
keeps
for
me
her, because I
informed.
just kind of pop in and I don't mean to like miss up her.
I don't mind the schedule
So-
time because I know Tim is coming then, so it's easy for me to say, I'm gonna have this 30 minutes dedicated to him. Or like today, he was driving his truck, so he just texted me, he's like, we're not meeting today. Then I'm not sitting around waiting for him. So I like the rolling meeting, but I think all of you are generally, he's the only one that I have a firm rolling meeting. When usually we'll just, hey, do you have time on Tuesday at 5 to meet? Usually on a Monday, you usually drop in, Eric drops in. Sherry will usually text me, Ken usually will, and again, it's not been, none of this is regular, he'll text me like, hey, do you have some time if I stop by for a few minutes? Bill never comes to see me.
What kind of candy do you like? He doesn't have a candy. Okay.
You got really cheaped out on us.
I would say that when we do come, I try to always preface that when you have time to come, I never expect you, and I don't think that you do, but I just want to clarify. I mean, you don't. Okay, I gotta call one back like in 15 minutes, I mean, it's just whatever it's.
Oh, yeah.
They always,
I usually just, whenever I
You always
have
get back,
a break or.
but okay.
Well, this is good conversation, because I didn't know, Mike, I don't know what the time's been in the past.
Yeah,
I just set it up with everybody, but we'll cancel different times.
when I first started, I will say
I
that
started-
almost every council meeting was meeting with me weekly for at least an hour, and it was a lot.
It's a lot of work.
But it has not been that way for, I'm gonna say probably 2 years now.
Okay.
It's been just kind of popping in here or there when things come up. And I don't mind, like, I would rather you guys come talk to me or ask me questions. Especially because a lot of times, like, I feel bad because I'm kind of picking on Tim, but like even Ken has done it, like, if it's a question about a meeting, like, come ask me, because I don't, in the middle of council, want to feel like you're putting me on the spot, or if it's something that I need to look up, or. So I actually would prefer that 15-20 minute conversation ahead of time rather than trying to do it right on the spot in the middle of a meeting.
So I really didn't know what everybody else was doing. But if you're good with that, I'll keep it, because usually that 30 minutes, I usually get running out here going somewhere else, so.
Well, you are really good about always our 30 minutes is up on.
Time to
going out
go.
and- Yeah.
She's looking at the door, it's time to go.
And
Yeah,
that's,
she does.
that's kind of why I wanted to move back to these sort of committee meetings to where we can kind of all sort of get in a group and kind of keep on board. Everybody get, because maybe we're asking the same question, maybe we want, you know what I mean, so.
Well, and I also, that's why I've done the weekly summaries, because if, that's the other thing, if Tim comes in and he asks me a question, I try to say, hey, this came up and share it with all of you, because then you're getting the same information, or if Tim had the question, probably another one of you had the same question. So I try to report that too, and I'm not saying I report to you guys every conversation, but if it's something that is going to come up multiple times, I do try to share
Well,
that.
I appreciate some reason, I'm sure that.
That's great.
I tell you, I look forward to it, because it helps me to keep in tune where we're at, so thank you for doing that.
I like it. Go back to your SMART goal. Your set and maintain non-meeting, how do you want to write that SMART goal, or do you already have it written down?
I put block out weekly periods free of meetings to allow uninterrupted planning or work time. And I said this, the metric for that would be at least 4 hours per week consistently reserved for focus work.
And how
So
will you let us-
the reason I put consistent is because I didn't, if I missed a week because of vacations or something. I would like to report that to you guys, and if you feel the need to check with staff to make sure I'm not fibbing, you're more than welcome to do
And,
that.
and that's you hitting, voicemail, right, staff saying that. Leave you alone, right?
Right, like I would
Yeah.
shut my door for that
Good.
period of
Yep.
time. So what I was thinking that I would do as a way to kind of report this to you guys is in my weekly summary. I would probably just
Love
say,
that.
I dedicated 3 hours
3
on
hours this week,
Thursday or
whatever.
whatever that time may be. And I wasn't gonna get like, I was gonna tell you from 1:22 to 4:30, I was just gonna say 3 hours on
Would
Thursday.
you kind of be, would I be silly if I said this to about the delegating? Kind of that complete summary.
I was going to, if I delegated a task, I was going to
That could be
report
smart, but I
that
think
too.
that would keep you. Keep you on.
Yeah, well, it makes me self-aware too.
Yeah, yeah, self-aware,
And
better
the more
word.
self-aware you are, the easier it's gonna be to say, okay. That's.
Yeah,
Who made the topics for this the rest of the night? Good.
it's always.
So for number 3. I don't mind reporting in a weekly summary, but you're not gonna have something like that every week.
No,
So,
that would just
we
be
would-
like as it happens.
right, but I think for us to maintain the SMART acronym, we would want something by, what are we, we're in August, so something by November or something like that, so that there is an actual time, so that. You understand what I'm saying?
You have the.
You have the deadline on it.
Yeah.
That,
Inbound.
right, so between now and whenever, I just threw out November. So between now and whenever you set that time, you will have identified and worked on delegated one thing, or if you want this within a year, but at 6 months or 5 months or 4 months, or you said something like about doing something at her, if it next evaluation
That's July.
by July.
Yeah.
So, yes, you can let it inform us through the weekly summary, but I don't expect you to do something every week. Right.
No.
But we do need some sort of time frame so that we can say, hey, you've got 2 more weeks on this and we haven't heard anything yet. What are you thinking of? How is that coming? That sort of thing. So
I
what,
see where you're going.
I.e. Hey, when the countdown timers at 2:23, right, are broken, hey, Danielle, I told Lisa to call MDOT and get a follow-up, right, boom, and that's in the weekly summary. MDOT,
Oh, I see.
I asked Lisa
Yeah.
to say, get with MDOT, get a timeline, let's get this fixed, and Lisa followed up.
You didn't do it yourself.
sure.
That is a very simple.
But I would also
thing,
identify
But it
that,
saves her time.
just so that we're not trying to guess.
Right.
Like, is this one of the
That's
things she
great.
delegated, or was this already Lisa's?
Yes,
Just, yeah,
these are very minimal things that again, she doesn't have to do. She can pass it on to her chef saying, you're in charge, let's fix this, get it done for me and let me know.
right, but there needs to be a bit of strictness in identifying a time and identifying a number. So that it just, so if you don't need it, you don't need it,
Right.
but at least you know that you're trying to, and we know that you're trying to.
What do
And
you
it's on your
want
mind.
that?
What? I'm willing
20,
to
I
work
want
with you
20
on
of
that.
them. It's smart.
I get
It's funny.
I would each like this. Hey, we asked if this at a council meeting, you had an address, you sent it down to the right person and then they address it, yes, and then they follow up with you guys. Easy, I mean, that's an easy report, right? You throw that in your weekly report, like. You guys,
So what if
you
we
guys
say-
asked me on this, you know, it doesn't have to be a formal motion. I don't know if formal motions.
She normally would have done it wrong.
Well, what if we say like at least 4 reported delegations before my next evaluation?
No. Four is not sufficient.
But some of though, if it's recurring. I mean, that's, it seems like nothing, but every week I'm not doing a
If it's four,
summary.
right? If it's four,
If
right?
it's
Maybe
something
that's
as
your-
little as that, if I'm doing 20 little tasks of calling MDOT, I
Only
agree.
my right shoulder. And one, four,
But you're saying
It's a good
recurring,
start. It's a
it'd be
good
every
start to
week
say.
that it's being
six.
done.
Yeah, I guess
half a dozen.
that's what I was thinking,
Well,
is
yeah,
that it's going to
right.
be reoccurring things, and I'm not gonna delegate 20 reoccurring tasks.
Six. That's my vote, six.
Okay,
I have seven. Okay, nobody else spoke up. I gave you your chance.
And that's a combination of special or reoccurring.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good with
That
that.
also fluctuates. Once in
I think the principle is that as I'm looking at this. Is what are things that I can kind of work myself out of the job? And say, okay, I really want to focus on this. And this is my meat and potatoes. But these things keep getting in the way. So how do I get rid of the vegetables? Right, kind of thing.
I'm the same way, Daniel. You think I'm gonna let that kid touch that bulletin board? Hell no. That is my bulletin board.
and eat your vegetables.
That's right.
You gotta eat your vegetables.
You're ready to take a nice.
You bet you straws down all of them.
Oh, yeah.
Tough too.
I love that you went ahead, Danielle, and you really. This was an area that obviously was, we already say that you scored low in it. But I love that you took the initiative. And you came up with this, because I was thinking, how do we do that? And thank you for doing that. This is a great starting point, great discussion.
And I think it's appropriate, but,
Oh, yeah.
you know, even if we don't get down, I'd be happy with that as well. Is this, do you think these are attainable?
And it meant the generality of what we requested, so I think.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think they're achievable. I'm good with this. I guess my only other question, is there something else that you guys would want me to focus on or think about? And I'm not saying it has to be a goal or
No,
something.
but there is something
it's
in the
just-
evaluation that I wondered, do we need to have that in there? And that was on, it would be page 5 of 18. Fiscal management,
You say for the, in the evaluation.
in the evaluation itself,
Oh, I see.
On
page 5 of 18. Fiscal management number 6. And provides for necessary information for the village council, which requires bonding or borrowing of funds for long-term projects.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but we've not really had, this one's been a weird one because we've not had. Maybe I don't want to say the opportunity to bond. We already have a good amount of bonds, and it is. Definitely you bonds are good to have, but you don't want too many. So since I've been here, we've not done any new ones.
Okay. Because
But I do think that hopefully I'm here for a long time and there will be a time when it would be appropriate and it would be
Okay.
a conversation that we should have.
Yeah, we had quite a
And
few,
talk about.
just before you got rid of the pool,
Yeah, it kind of,
bridge, the.
yeah, there was a few kind of,
Gotcha.
so then
Gotcha.
we've had a period where we've not bonded projects, because again, you do get to a point where it's too many.
Okay.
And more importantly with that, the debt payoff, I think it's critical for us to budget, to say, okay. We've got 10 more years of this bond, right, to pay off, and we've got 5 more years of this, 3 of this. That helps us build that budget and say, you know, at budget time, how do we sit down and decide, okay, in 2 years, we're gonna pay this bond off, now we can continue with this major infrastructure.
Then my
That's-
question
I think
is, okay, so I mean, I'm understanding that. So the question is, if we're not, what is it that we need to know so that this,
Yeah. Or
to be able, yeah, because then the score gets. To me, it skews things, because if we're not bonding anything, there's no reason to have information out right for bonding.
More so the debt.
Yeah,
Debt schedules, I would say.
I'm not
So-
sure how you guys scored me on that, but I do every year. And I think I self-evaluated low on that because I reported nothing to you because we didn't take any bonds. So I'm like, well, how do I score?
Right.
But that being said-
Right, and how does that then affect?
Yeah.
her? Like, if we never called a play for an 80-yard Hail Mary. And then said, well, how'd she do on the 80-yard Hail Mary? Well, it was pretty poor, but we never called the play.
Right.
So how do we, that's where I'm coming from.
Evaluate her.
How do we evaluate her on that?
You should have called them.
In,
Without her approval, they should be benched. No, I understand, but if you're gonna stay with the football analogy, she would, because she wouldn't do that. In that football analogy.
and I
I
will
got
say
you.
that since I've started, every year in the budget. You guys get supplementary, and you guys should all have your binders now. So there's additional information in there besides just the budget, and it includes. A summary of the debt schedule, so it says what the debt is, what the dollar amount with interest is, payoff year, and what fund that comes from. And then following that is the full payment schedule as well. So I would say at a bare, and I've done that since I've started, I will continue. I would say at a bare minimum for this, I should be providing that to you. So like Mike said, that as we're paying off bonds and debt, you can see. Okay, we paid $130,000 to Franklin Street or whatever that debt may be, or we've got 7 more years.
For Winter Street.
Right.
And even a 3, you know, satisfactory, as long as she's providing that. Again, we prefer the comments and the things like that to guide her. Again, it's not a 100-point scale, so that kind of took that away from it. So even if she's at a 3, she's satisfactory. That's an average, right? I mean, so.
Sure. I guess it just
I don't-
didn't make sense to me. The question didn't make sense to me because we didn't do anything with this, and I didn't understand how it fits in the overall scheme of how we evaluate her. Does that make sense? Does it
Yeah.
make sense?
It does.
Okay.
But yeah, more so long range planning, you know, again. As much as our infrastructure, you know, that we're gonna have to invest over the next 5, 10, 20 years. I think it's critical that Danielle plans with it and sets up her budget to say. You know, how are we gonna carry those over, or do we pay off the water treatment plant, we roll right back over, we do another street, you know, project.
Okay. That was all that I had on that.
I don't have anything to add, Danielle, your report. Thank you.
I'm good.
All right, how do we have something that we can put together that you feel confident you want somebody to draft it, we can draft you at least, what do you, where are we at?
Did you want to do it since you did the evaluation and do you still have that you could just add it to the goals?
Yeah.
Section, or do you want to do like an addendum to it? Or how do you want to do that?
That I gave a. Or no,
It would kind of just be added to the
Yeah.
goals, right, like on
Yeah, I was gonna
the,
say-
our quote official council goal.
I mean, because you could leave,
right, well, where the.
because right now the goals list kind of everything you
Yeah,
guys
I
said,
can
so
take out all of those, so they're listed there.
that's almost what I would do. to
And then put in what we're-
And then insert the ones that we want to
Yeah,
approve.
I'll
as
do that.
approved.
So you guys,
That would make it
you
clear.
guys tweet how you wanted it to send it to me and I'll put it back for us. Is that right?
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, I'm very well.
Do we feel that we can,
Well,
we can
understand.
achieve the, you know, we can go back the next year and say, okay.
Oh, my God, well, that's great.
I think
We happy with that?
Yeah, I
That's
think
what we've
so.
ever done.
Yep, okay. I like it. Good with that?
Yeah.
I think the little baby steps in making these evaluations,
For sure.
not just to do it, but to get something for both.
Yeah. That's supposed to be.
And we don't have to do it next Monday, we could take this if we need a little time to compile.
No, you can get your stuff
September.
together, give it to me, and I'll have it for you for next Monday.
Okay.
Let's get it done.
Okay.
And thanks for that, Mark, for the new, thanks, Mike.
Okay, we gotta move on then,
Thanks so much.
all right. Noise ordinance. Okay.
So I had sent this to you guys, it's been actually a little bit now. It's one of the ordinances that I was working on amending. And when I sent it out, a few questions came back that, I thought maybe would be good for a committee of the whole, because you guys really, you set the policy and then we implement it. So when I'm rewriting or drafting these ordinances, if you guys don't agree with something, then we can talk about it here so that hopefully when it goes to council, we're more prepared to approve it. So I notated the few things that came up. That being said, if you guys have other questions about this ordinance, then please let me know and I can get it amended and ready to go, because I've not published this for the public hearing or anything yet. But the questions that came out is under the 12301B, so B, I, and J, the times are different. So under B, construction noises, it says are between the hours of 7 AM and 9 o'clock. But then if you go down to I, it says radio and musical instruments, it are not allowed between 11 PM and 7 AM. So construction has to stop at 9 PM, but music noises can go till 11 PM. That's what it said. Or shouting and whistling under J can go again until 11 PM, but not before 7 AM. So the question is, why are those different? And we were being more strict on the 9 o'clock, which I also want to confirm, it's not highlighted. So that's how our current ordinance is. We were more strict on construction. So I left it that way because I thought whenever this was written, we were worried about that more than the music. So do you want those to be the same or not? And they don't have to be, it's whatever what you guys think is appropriate or not.
I think that's appropriate. Again, you're thinking like the radio or musical instruments or whatever, we have a festival that goes till whatever, we have downtown events that go till maybe a little bit later. Again, we don't want to write an ordinance only for us to violate our own. So again, I don't see the problem there. I don't know why they would all have to be the same. I mean,
And they
it's
don't,
simplicity.
but it's just whatever, and that's where it's really, you guys set the policy. So what do you guys or the residents, like, what do we want for our community? And then that's the ordinance we should adopt.
I did talk to the resident of our community, Mr. Hines. And I talked with James, because I remember this was a question that came up before with James and some of the construction work and things like that. So I did share with him this because we were allowed to do that, correct? Yeah. So I thought, okay.
Oh, yeah, this is all public,
Yeah, it's all public. So I did talk to him about it, slash text him about it. The thing that he had stated here, and I agree with him, I didn't see, maybe I missed something. He would like to have the quiet hours specifically stated. Meaning this, the quiet hours are from 10 PM to 8 AM. That's cut and dry. And if there's something.
For anything.
For anything, is what he is suggesting. And that if something has to happen outside of those hours, that there is a permit, sort of speak, on that, where, okay, festival, whatever. Okay, if the music is a part, like till midnight, Okay, on those nights for the DDA, then they'd have to go ahead and ask for that, get a special permit for that. Noise for that period of time. That was just.
Yeah.
It would make it consistent.
Which they're already gonna have to do under
That doesn't
special
help with-
events. if that
Exactly.
goes
Plowing and
through.
snow
Yeah.
plowing, like that was his big concern.
That was-
Yeah, it was his big
That's
concern.
literally all above, beyond this, that is me.
Right,
that is-
But I still wanted them to take a look at this.
Okay.
I thought that. I don't know, I just kind of put on one big thing that. James noise ordinance, is this something, so he did say that, and he said any permit to extend the hours should be added. Like movies only, okay?
Right.
Well, that would have been a permit, with that kind of like,
So that's the second part to my, or the second question I have for you guys
Okay.
is, I amended, so the way the ordinance currently reads for noise is that the village president can grant a special allowance for construction noise only. I amended it and said village council approval and the information you would need, and I listed the noises that could be amended. And it includes the construction noises and sound amplifiers, and my thought, where that was the events. So it's the exceptions under C that's highlighted.
Gotcha, okay.
So one of the questions that was asked is, does council have to approve this or can it be done through staff? It could be done through staff. I amended to council because what I was trying to do is. It was already the village president, so that's why I kept it council. But my thought was that it should be the whole council, not just the village president making a decision on behalf of everybody.
But wouldn't it be easier if there were construction or something, wouldn't it be easier just to have the president sign off on it versus all of us?
That'd be quicker, yeah.
That's what I'm saying, we're.
Well, if you're wanting to, but the president doesn't have more authority than the rest of council. Like the president is the, and like he's going to sign up, or she,
Right.
he's him right now, he's gonna sign documents on behalf of you guys. He's going to be the,
It's that sort of mayor, you know.
yeah, but.
Strong mayor.
But technically, he doesn't have more authority than the other
Right.
six, so that's why I said council. If you're wanting it to be more efficient, I think staff would be the level that you would approve it. Okay, and we put what would be considered specifically, so in order for it to, we'd have to have the date and the time, the location, the nature, whatever the type is, so I mean, we would have to, it couldn't detrimentally affect somebody.
State staff is very vague, you're saying you.
That's what I was gonna ask, is that one of 4 people,
Oh, yeah.
either of the 4 could do it, is that what we're saying?
No,
Well,
it's either us
you,
or
I
it's
think you would have to,
Don't.
yeah, I would say me or council, because then if I do it and you guys are like, what the heck are you doing there now, I'm gonna have to be,
We're gonna come weird house meet with your own both sides.
yes.
Why would management do this? But he handles other permits. You know,
And it's a little bit weird because the sound, the special events is chapter 22, which is coming you guys
To be revamped.
next, right, Monday, right? My days are out.
But Manny's permits are based on ordinance and kind of rules, right, where this is a more ambiguous sort of.
Well, she's issuing building permit.
I would have been in the other council, actually, I would be okay with the president on this myself. I don't know. Yeah, no,
And you can do president. I just was explaining why because I.
Well, that's it.
well, I was one of the questioners on the president, only because then people have to try to find him, and that's not fair on you. You know? I mean, we're already, we're training under the village that we're here Monday through Thursday.
Doesn't have just administrator.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
If we're setting up an ordinance. And the people are answering the questions according to the ordinance, then whoever is here. That is qualified, or we want everyone to be qualified, if you're able to read the ordinance and they filled out the form correctly. they've got the approval.
You could also say village
That's a little
administrator
critical. I mean,
and or designee. So that gives me the ability that I could designate Lisa to approve or not in my absence, or
Might just get it on the team. Well, what if we made president?
well, then they gotta fight, they gotta fight that.
That's easy.
She would be
That's a
first,
phone call.
if she wasn't
You know,
available,
that's a,
if the administrator wasn't available,
I prefer that than,
yeah, the president.
again, designating different people with different, and we want to be consistent, so,
The ordinance is what's consistent.
yeah, but the
If there's something,
decision making is vague. Again,
if the decision has already been made, they're filling out the information.
If they're checking off everything that they're required to do.
Then what decision is there to be made?
I just don't want, again, then she, if she has designee, 1 week it could be Lisa, 1 week it could be
It
Brady.
doesn't matter, they're still following the rules. They're following the checklist, right?
Right, yeah,
So if they follow the checklist, why don't understand what the problem is? So so someone comes up to you and says that they're doing this, it's up to you or to her or whomever is designated to say, no, I don't think so, not yet.
You see it and make sure that it's right.
Till one person comes in and says, well, they
Right.
all let me do this and Lisa didn't let me do
Right,
this.
and based on what? Based on what? If they fill out the information correctly, how can they be denied? For what reason would they be denied?
I still think it's, the designee, it should be one other person. I don't like just 10 people, maybe 10 individuals.
Administrator second.
Administrator first.
But what is the decision that is being made? That someone would say no? Why, what would cause either whomever is in charge of it?
but in Mike's case, like he said, well, Lisa said I could do it, but Maddie said I could.
Okay, so let's leave it as it is.
People ask because we don't know, you're gonna have.
Sure.
Yeah.
So let's say it's all the same, other than we have this permit application. Why would they be told no? If they've answered
followed
everything
every-
appropriately on the request form, why would they be denied?
Why do we want numerous people making those decisions?
That's not the question, that's a separate question. Why would an individual be denied? If Gwen comes in and says, I wanna have this permit. Why would she be denied if she's answering every question that satisfies the form?
The questions being the date and time, the location, the nature and proximity, is that what it is?
Yes, that's the whole, right.
Proposed conduct.
What if their time that they're requesting is like at midnight?
But that's the whole reason for having them.
But what if?
But you
what if
said it
Lisa thinks
wouldn't be
midnight's
denied.
late and Danielle thinks midnight is not too late,
That's right. That's
right? So again, it's ambiguous, so.
Yeah.
So we need to change the ordinance, not change who makes the decision. Because then if it's you, Mike, regardless if
doesn't matter
it's
who it
you,
is.
then you always will need to make it at midnight or 1 AM or 2 AM, right? But
Which is.
you don't have, the thing is, that call is not, that decision is not permitted in the ordinance, and I don't know that it should be permitted. Because then it's just, well, I don't like that. We're going to play rap music, I don't like rap. We're gonna play country music, oh, I hate country, I'm sorry. That's not, they're asking for permission so that their neighbors don't complain.
Well, we're also going back to talk about the special event thing, and we're saying we want enough time to make it happen. So if Danielle doesn't have time within 2 weeks or whatever to make that decision, right? I mean, it should fall back on hopscotch and different people. If somebody's asking for a permit for a specific amount of time, we don't want to permit for something tomorrow, right? If you want a permit, it needs to be given within a specific amount of time.
Right.
They give
And
Danielle
that's
time to do-
that's the next issue. Right.
Right.
But that's the next question, that's not the initial question. Why would anyone be denied?
An exception.
Other than, right, why would anyone be denied an exception? Unless it came down to the fact that the person making the decision, they themselves didn't like it.
And you don't think that that's happened or could happen?
Roman numerals 4 and 5. The typing of proposed conduct and or type of advice opposed to you. So who determines if it's appropriate or not?
5, the purpose for it, is what you find out. Who determines if it's appropriate? I don't know. So in other sections of our ordinances, we have some of those things already delineated.
I think what we need to actually, you make a good point, is add conditions. That if these conditions are met, it should be approved. If they are not, it is denied.
And then we just cut it dry.
Yes,
And there is
so,
no I like, you don't like.
correct,
Right.
and then so whatever those conditions are, it's that we do not, like, no exception will be granted past midnight, no exception will be granted on Sunday. What, and I'm making stuff up,
Yeah.
whatever those conditions
Those are
are.
good points.
Let's say they apply for a Sunday, you don't meet this, you're denied. And then it's that person just checks it off if they, yes. And if they meet or don't meet any of the listed conditions, it's denied. And then it's not subject to, well, I think midnight's too late, but that's how it is now. It's just, like, you could call James as president and he'll approve it and be like, oh, it's fine if you do that until 11 PM, but they could now call Mike. And he's like, no, you're not gonna do later than 10 PM because that's when I go to bed.
But if you have what they.
And I'm using that as an example.
That's good discussion, good, that, clean that up. Hear that?
What would the conditions be? What are non-negotiables for us that if they don't meet those, we're not permitting it?
Can't be after 10.
Like we identified Sundays earlier, that's why I said that.
Okay, so you could even put, could you add Sunday to these particular things? Like. Sundays a certain time and. Basically, if someone's gonna be allowed, it's gonna be 5:30.
We could specify that. We could specify that. When is your party? Well, it's on Saturday night. Okay. But if we wanted to specify that, we could just make an ordinance for that. And say you are allowed to have. Unless the neighbors complain at 1 AM that you're too loud.
Right.
But then they said, well, we have a permit, we're allowed to do this. Rather than, you know what, we just cut the party off at midnight. And that's it, the party is cut off at midnight,
No matter what.
no matter what it is, when it is, or whether it's Monday on Friday or whatever.
Yeah, you don't have any.
And then you don't,
exceptions.
right, and then you don't have exceptions, that's
There you
another
go.
way to go after it. And then that way it isn't all on one person to make a decision. You could, that would be helpful. How far are you gonna go down? Because maybe you don't like neighbors after house 3. But they'll still hear it. But I'm with you.
But if you send that invitation and they don't come, that's their own fault.
That's true. That's correct.
Because they might not like you already.
If you
That's
don't put
why
it in
you're
the mail.
Got lost.
You got lost in the mail. Oh, here.
Okay, clean that up.
I mean, it's up to you guys,
It's true.
truly. I mean, that is an option, like, you can say, we're not granting exceptions, that's the time. Now, keep in mind, if you're going to do that, what do we? Are there things that we're going to impact, I guess would be my question, how late does the festival go?
Usually, the band is 7-11.
Okay, so they're within the time for that now, because that's, what about, like, if somebody were to do fireworks?
What's the state say?
We don't care.
No, we go by the firework thing. Yeah, we go
By
by
the
their
state.
code. Yeah, I think it's I
It might be midnight.
feel like maybe. I look that up all the time.
Go by the state.
Yeah, let me look.
How enforceable is this? Just looking at letter A. Audible beyond 100 feet, like, again, that's quite arbitrary, right?
Yeah, I did send this to legal, because I don't like that, but that is how actually almost all of them, and that's what they recommended, because I'm with you, I'm like, who's gonna go?
We don't have
Measure
sound
100
meters, right?
feet.
Every officer doesn't have a decimal meter in their car, like, again, again, we don't wanna adopt something that's, poo-poo a year down the line.
Yeah, no, I did ask that question, because I had actually.
What are you talking about?
Literally just letter A, number one.
Yeah.
11 a.m. to 11:45 from June 29th to July 4th, and also July 5th, if it falls on a Friday or Saturday.
Oh, we got people that disregard that all.
Correct.
What time, 10 p.m.?
11:45.
I mean, that's the other thing too, we could just really, really simplify this whole thing and say.
Yeah,
No person shall cause or create any noise or disturbance. That is audible beyond 100 feet from the origin of the noise, which is injures blah, 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 between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. Period. Done, delete the rest,
I would go,
and then,
yeah,
That would
Really?
simplify things.
there you
I mean,
go.
that
And then
would simplify this
add an-
entire.
Add a permit process.
And then
right?
you would still have an exception.
Yeah. Permit.
Because you're going to exempt police and fire for emerg, like, if they're running their sirens at midnight, they are allowed to do that.
Slow board,
Yeah, or repair, if
if
there's,
Right?
they're repairing the bridge on MDOT and they have to do that to get the bridge open, that would be, so you'd list those exceptions. And then period, and then penalty. I mean, maybe it's,
Oh, yeah,
maybe it's that simple,
yeah.
Well-
Great.
I don't know.
Look at number, or letter C there, you got sound amplifiers like we had. We have our downtown Carolyn, right? It's somebody, again, who moved downtown after that, they've been running forever. It's like somebody that doesn't. Really get to make that decision, change the hours on that thing, right? So. Again, what,
Why are you looking at me?
you changed the times on that.
No, I got it started again.
She fixed it,
You know, I was told that you changed the hour.
no.
No.
Fixed it, so
Somebody told
the,
me that the hours were changed.
I'm not sure what we're talking about.
yeah.
So again, they're playing across the street, that Carolyn's playing at 9 o'clock at night or whatever, right? And then somebody changed it, so, right? So again, are we violating our own ordinance by having a sound amplified system?
What time does it go?
If it went 9 a.m. until,
6 p.m.
well, yeah, it used to be 8, but then somebody changed it. Ooh, but
Well, then it should not be changed.
it was that.
Yeah, I don't know, I thought it was 9. Tell me, 9 noon,
Mhm.
No, it was on the hour.
6? Or was there was 4?
There's 4.
Yeah, that's why that's what it was set to when she fixed it.
9 noon, 3 to
So
6.
I think that's what it might have been.
That's what I'm wondering if.
Yeah.
That would make sense, because when she.
It was a
not
pre-programmed one.
working, and then we tried to start it and it was random times.
Sam Porky,
So then she-
somebody changed it, right? Somebody changed it.
No,
I was
it's
told.
so-
Then it stopped working.
It wasn't changed, it started working. Cause they were shut off because they. were
Correct.
not Working at the proper time. So it was.
Because
not
it
like
was
that.
going off like every hour practically. It was the most random.
But it'd be like 9:16.
It wasn't working. Then it randomly starts working and it's going off at like every hour, like in the middle, like
It was like
that.
9:16.
Yeah,
or
right.
Yeah, cause not, yeah.
So then I got it back to the pre-programmed and then it stopped again.
Okay, but then it should
What
have
was
ran
it
till,
supposed
it
to be
ran,
set?
ran from 9 a.m. till 8 p.m.
Every hour?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not how it was set. I don't know what it was doing, but either way, I guess my question is if you put that it's not allowed between 11 and 7, we're not
Right,
running
right,
that
yes.
between those
Right.
times.
So were you saying the 5 hours are gonna be?
Well, I'm just throwing this out there. I said 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Is what I was saying, but again, it's.
You're talking about the special.
No, I'm saying.
She's saying
period.
overall, just.
Yeah,
So you're
Just
getting rid of
blanket.
all of this other stuff, like lower and all that, I mean, is
yeah.
that-
It's not.
I'm just throwing it out as an option.
It's-
That you just,
So
I'm just
to
saying maybe
eliminate
we're,
having to get a special.
I'm just saying everything. We have quiet hours from 11 to 7 where you can't make noise is gonna be audible beyond a certain distance. And if you do, you're in violation.
And we're talking even our own,
And it-
units, our
again,
own
it's-
snow blowers, our own.
No,
they're exempt.
there are
exceptions.
exceptions. Because you have to, if
No,
something
no.
goes
It's not,
down.
But it's an emergency versus routine maintenance. So for example, if it was a December day and snow fell. When would UPW start their? Snow removal?
That's maintenance, right? Yeah. That's what it is, right?
But it is safety.
But if it
It
is,
is,
If people are going to school,
yeah, I mean, it is an emergency. It's maybe not an emergency like a crash emergency, but it is a safety issue to keep our streets and our sidewalks free and clear and safe for traffic before we're trying
before we
to
start-
impede traffic and,
because things get busy, get packed, that's where you see the seven.
yes.
Well, let's put
but-
that in your
Before-
exception is that. They have overall day-to-day maintenance of the village operation, right? I mean, that's.
Yeah, which it says not, yeah, it's excavations and repairs of bridges, streets, highways, by or on behalf of village, state of Michigan. And then it includes like fire and police, right?
And that may not make some people happy, but again. We have. To do it.
Well, I mean, the option is,
Thursday, 11 PM to 7 AM.
For everything.
For everything. I don't know, what do you guys think about 11? I personally like the test, so. 11 is better. It's potentially for quite a.
In the summertime, think about it, it's still light,
Okay, yeah, just throw it out there. All right. Okay. 11, 7, we get it.
No, but yeah, and any other exemptions we need to put in, if we need to put in something for the fireworks, unless that has its own ordinance somewhere else, or we can refer to that ordinance.
fireworks is the state law, right?
Correct, but we could note that in, just so that it's there with this information. If someone says, well, what about fireworks? Oh,
we have a section, I think, that says,
does it have its own
yeah, I'm
ordinance?
gonna
Yeah.
look that
Okay.
up and make sure.
If somebody wants to do something else.
What if you got a neighbor that's over there banging their drums at 5 in the afternoon and it's, within 100 feet?
They'd be allowed to do it.
They would.
If you set quiet hours, just blanket quiet hours, yes.
I don't, my neighbor does, no, I can hear the drums. Well, they're down the road, once in a while, you hear them using the drums, but he lives literally right like next door. And he has called the police several times, and the ordinance states, if you keep using the drums, I mean. It's loud,
Well, why can't he at 5 o'clock play his drums?
because he plays it really loud and. I'm speaking for my neighbor. My neighbor says he has to hear them, and he says, I don't want to hear the drums when I'm inside my house. I can hear the dude's drums just like they're inside my house.
But then you're telling somebody that they can't do what they want inside their, it's not their own property.
I understand, I'm just trying to help.
Yeah, and that's hard without the decibel meter, the accuracy, again, it's
And some of
sort of
their-
vague.
Well,
Determination.
Yeah.
I just, you know,
Qualifies as
Or you establish a relationship with your neighbor. Now, does he do it from 5 to 8 every night? Is it from 4 to 5?
Is it like an hour? Is he practicing for an
I
hour?
know, I well, for my time, I know that.
I would have.
Is he good?
I don't think we have the staff to maintain that kind of thing.
Yeah.
No, I get what you're saying though,
So
it's a,
Dispatcher that got complaints about people like that during the day. We would always say, have you ever gone and talked to that person and to eliminate, you know?
Yes, yes, and they're. It's my house, and I can play my girlfriend. And that's the way it is.
And then
But
that's
I think
unfortunate.
and I was gonna try to help.
Yeah, yeah, that's just unfortunate. Sorry.
Yes. So Danielle, so.
I mean, that unfortunately, you're not gonna encompass everything, because
Right.
what about the people who work third shift and are trying to
Oh, no.
sleep during the day? we're not giving them any quiet hours, so
I'm just
I
asking,
don't know what, and I just threw that as an option, you don't have to do the
If we
blanket.
said at 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., or we don't permit the other.
Right. Right, but it's eliminating
We wouldn't
a
have any
special
permits,
event.
that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it might eliminate a lot of
Good,
issues.
and now I'm gonna jump on the other
Which is
side
what
of the
Ken
fence.
wanted.
Oh, just one side, yeah, just one side.
Now, I'll think on the other side, what if there is a special event that we want to sanction? Or somebody wants to have? Maybe, I'm just throwing this out there.
I still think 11 o'clock is,
But we haven't,
11 to 7 is a good.
but if we do something, like if they. Yeah, but I'm
Crazy.
it's like, what, you know. And we don't.
and you can hear us.
what's that?
We have our Glow Crazy Party, which is 9 to 11, and Eric can't hear us at his house because the kids get so excited and loud. So he did show up and he's like, hey, what's happening? I'm like, "Oh, let's see," and it wasn't even so much the music, wasn't it just the
I can hear
kids
the
like
kids.
yelling and, cause we're not being like,
Well, it's such an
aggressive
open
yelling, it was
area,
just,
too, that crowd-
they were so excited and having so much fun that they were so loud, he's like, I didn't know what was happening to you. So it does travel, and you've gotta be, probably, how many feet, you gotta be,
Quarter of a mile at least.
I was gonna say at least 450 feet.
Oh, probably from my house.
Person starting.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
No.
That's all we need here.
That's all I'm gonna say.
But I've been parked back, right?
I'll clean it tomorrow.
I want the other day.
I walked in at
11 and
down the park, that I walked. Okay, that's cool. So what do you wanna do then? What were we thinking, guys? 5 hours, 1 to 7?
Like it.
I don't think-
Fired hours within a permit, right?
With a permit?
Just for, again, say random. Yeah.
You're saying for the exemption for the permit?
And for, again, maybe DDA does something cool, maybe we do, you know, if we have a New Year's event or something like that, you know, you never know,
Oh,
and then at
yeah.
least that allows
Yeah.
the random things to say yay or nay, and there's some checks. and balances.
Who's still, meeting?
Okay, so just gonna-
Yeah, exactly, that's a good question, but and again, I think Danielle should, again, if we're doing this right and given enough warning, we're requesting what, at least 2 weeks of special events. That gives her plenty of time to say, okay, and then it's not kind of, it's consistent, right?
Right.
So if it's gonna be limited to special events, then they're going to have to include that in their application, which that process says
Is it?
it's
Gives you plenty of
council.
time to make. or what-
Unless they're not requesting funding from you, then it's me.
Yeah. And that gives us plenty of time.
So that already outlines, so I think what we could say is like a permit could be granted for special events through chapter 22 process or whatever, and just reference that.
And it gives us plenty of time to say, let's do our homework and see if this good for the community or is this something we just
Right.
don't like, sorry, you know.
So if I wanna beat my drums at midnight down the river, the whole town can hear it. I have to come.
There's a log jam, so you can.
Yeah, you're gonna have to portage it. You have to portage,
Yeah,
especially at the dam.
you get 30 feet, Tim, and you're all log jam, so you get chainsaw.
So I will amend all of this to reflect our discussion tonight, and I'll send it to you guys, so that you can get eyes on it. Let me know if I'm missing something, and then once I give you guys a little bit of time to review this, I'll get it scheduled to bring back to you for. Cause I'll have to do the public hearing and stuff, so.
Now, I like this, Danielle, talking about the ordinance. This kind of thing, maybe the whole, doing this in our, I really.
And then just voting on it.
I'll think of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to bring them when it's more discussion like this, like, I have all of those building codes. I didn't put that on here because we're following the state. So it's just very straightforward, but if it is things like this, I'll put them on the committee agenda.
I'm asking for 5 minutes, you guys, this time, real quick, okay?
I'm gonna ask you 5 after you.
Okay, perfect. You know, Riga water. Okay, so I talked with Daniel. I talked with Danielle a couple days ago about, you know, whether we heard back from Riga, whatever, regarding our rates and things like that. Have you heard anything yet, or?
Gary did call me last week and said that they were meeting.
So,
To discuss the rates, and I sent them over. I had sent it before he called, actually, the fees again, and the draft amended agreement for the fees.
one thing that I guess I'm a shoe on, I get a long drive, so it's like, okay, is Riga. Again, we're kind of building in the cost factors for the fixed costs, the operations, and the maintenance, infrastructure, improvements, things like that. In our town. So would Riga be included in saying we need to do a water line project down North Main Street? Are we considering that as sort of an infrastructure rainy day fund? Or does Riga only supplement from the plant improvements and that water line out to them? You know what I'm saying? Because we're almost double dipping on them off of our backs. Replacing, no, we're not doing that. Okay, okay. Does that make sense? See what I'm saying? So,
So, it is.
because we charge our residents one rate, and that is to produce the water, but also set aside funds for, you know, say we need to do North Lane water sewer separate.
Distribute water.
Yes, again, I want to make sure that Riga residents are quote supplementing and paying for that entire infrastructure improvements in the Blissfield. It should be a direct line from plant and whatever line goes to their meter.
But
It
it's
should
not.
encompass that. Okay.
So we don't have we don't have a direct line that goes to them, it goes throughout our system. So that, what you're saying is exactly what ZFS was trying to say, is that their
They don't.
cost to serve is less because
It's just from.
they have just the incremental cost, but that is not, and we talked to Vinzinski about this. It's not though, the way you fund like water systems, and Vinzinski, we talked about this a lot with them, like you can't just say. Like you're already giving them a discount because you're matching our residents rate. I'm sorry, it's in those, the file things on my wall under the committee meeting. Sorry.
But Riga's paying the same rate as us, but we're also factoring in some sort of improvements right down the line, so aren't we double dipping them on our future offside improvements? Or no?
I don't.
Is that, I mean, that's how I'm trying to get there, right? Because we're saying.
Because you're saying they're funding a portion of our improvements and theirs.
Yes.
So we aren't double dipping them. We are taking a portion of our impacted infrastructure and they're having to pay for theirs. I just need you guys to sign this too. Sorry, I forgot it earlier. Thank you.
That makes sense. So like, you know, if we're setting aside this, you know, this portion, we say. The next large scale project, we're actually bottom so much, I mean, we're setting so.
So if you are,
And we rebuild.
if
roads,
you're a
they have
plumber,
nothing to do with Riga. They have nothing to do with Riga's operation.
if you're a plumber and you're going to his house to do work. And you buy a part from this company for $500, you're gonna charge him $560 plus your wages. That, we're doing the same thing. Then they are impacting our system because we don't have a distribution line that goes directly to them. So they're putting added strain on our entire system as a whole. We're adding pressure on our treatment plant as a whole. You can't say that we produce 100,000 gallons and anything above that is a reduced cost for us.
But we can't say that. We're gonna set aside those infrastructure improvement funds to build our infrastructure that has nothing to do with it. It's a water line feeding down out of town. The other way.
Spotted.
I mean, that should take into consideration Riga's cost. Riga is the plant only in that main that goes out to that meter.
But that's not the only main they run through.
They run two.
They run through any of, whatever direction the water goes. Because it's not a district, like if we were feeding to the tower and then them or straight to them, but it could feed like all through town before it even goes to
But it
them.
doesn't. We know it's a direct line, and one way out to
But
that,
it's
to that
not
pit.
a direct line though. Everything is connected. We don't have a transmission line. From their meter to them is direct, but we're not maintaining or billing for that.
I don't think it's fair to them to say we're gonna set aside this infrastructure, which is encompassing the entire village. But they only have a specific portion of it that feeds them. They don't care that we rebuild Monroe Street and we're setting aside funding for that. It has nothing to do with it. Right? They should only pay their portion, feed their system.
Well, I mean, it does, so because if our system fails, they're not going to get water.
Right?
That's my whole.
I do get what you're saying, I just think it's oversimplifying a little bit, like they are impacting our system and there is a cost to maintain, like it
But
is
they have
added
to pay their
pressure.
county to maintain their system, and they're paying to maintain our. That's not. I guess it's just.
Well, then they can't be tied up with this stuff, because they are impacting,
How are they impacting the grocery?
because it's added flows and pressure on everything. And you're talking about just mains, which we don't know how it flows, that's not factoring in the treatment plant too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, it should be broken down specifically, I said, the treatment plant, and whatever it goes to feed them, everything else. Should be up to the builders, not fire. If we rebuild Quick Street, that doesn't benefit Riga. But they're helping supplement it because that's that overall cost.
Yeah, I just don't agree with you, and I don't know a good way to explain this to you.
If I were a resident of Riga and I said, oh, Blissfield is charging me the same rates as the village of Blissfield. But we don't own their system or maintain their system, it almost seems like they're getting double dipped. We rebuild something that side of the river, what the heck does Riga care? What we do with our double dip by whom? By us, because we're charging them the same rates as us, but we only do the improvements in Blissfield. We don't do the improvements outside of Blissfield. That's up to them or the county. Right,
But
so
if they
they're
don't have our improvements, then they wouldn't have their water.
Right, that's.
but if, again, what if we improve anything beyond that main
have to
pit, what do they care?
That's where I think it's a whole system. You can't isolate, they don't have a main feed. It's an entire system. I would agree with you if we had one line that ran from us directly to them and it fed to them. Our system would have zero impact on them. We don't.
Because I'm good that it involves all of us. For them to get their water
Well,
involves.
It wouldn't be zero, but it wouldn't be, it would make more sense that Quick Street wouldn't impact them with
They
a
would then
main.
have a different rate, because we would probably just charge according to by the foot or whatever. We would put in from the plant to there. And then whatever portion of water gets made there, we would probably do some sort of general average or an average percentage of water made for the whole system, because we would not differentiate Riga water, Blissfield water. So we'd have it would all be averaged, but since we don't have that capacity.
They use 11,000 gallons compared to how many I get a month. So again, but they're paying the same maintenance, future improvements that we are, and they're also paying the county to maintain the whole system. Right? So makes sense.
I hear you, but I agree that that's not accurate. Simply because they're just, like Daniel said, we don't have a line that goes directly to them.
Right.
If we don't have ours working, they don't have theirs, and ours needs to work, so they gotta help us make ours work. Yeah, and that's how
I think it's kind of like the neighbor down the street with the drummer. I mean, they could, if they wanted to pay for a line,
Then that would be, I guess, a different story.
Then-
A direct.
they could do, if they wanted to pay for a line, yeah. Then we'd be able to narrow some of those costs down.
I'm just wondering why, you know, I'm trying to wrap my head, and I get their concern, and I just like our concern, and everybody else's concern, I'm just kind of trying to think things out, how do we explain everything to them, so. Secondly, this is real quick here, we just put our water line in. So I'm assuming we're under here, we're south of here, correct, which we think, for our new water line.
Purple?
Yeah, and that, again, that's the,
No.
first check hope we are.
So we connect up here and then run down this right of way here.
Okay, as long as that's a right of way, but the problem is there are easement or whatever. So again, this is Blissfield Village property. This, as you can see, is Anthony's garage, which owns the apartments. Okay, so we really don't have access to the park because you've got Anthony's garage. This is part of Anthony's garage here as well. This is part of the Pat Hine Trust. And then this is us. Okay, so I want to make sure, number one, our water line is good that we just put in regarding our surveying and things like that. And that we're quoting an easement, or we want it to be off whoever's property, right? So I'm concerned about that, number one. And then number two, do we look into potentially trying to acquire this property south of Maple Street again? Because technically we have no access other than that tiny little quote alley, if anything, to the park, because everything is bound, is landlocked to that park, except for this corner here. We own where the bridge is, and we own over here south across. These other three spots, the highlighted one, the next two are not our property. So again, something to think about. It would have been nice before they started splitting all these and selling off lots and things like that. Maybe we talked to Anthony's garage, maybe we acquired this, or maybe we talked to the Bayheim Trust and we acquired. Again, I don't want to be in the same boat to where we're at before, you know. I want to make sure, number one, we're good on our water line.
I'm coming over here, 'cause I'm not following you.
Yeah, because I don't see any BLO government units on this map at all.
Okay, so the one that's highlighted, okay, well, it started at the end of the footbridge, okay, right at 223, that is village property, okay. Going south of there, if you look over here, this is the Anthony's garage, that's the apartments.
Yes.
Then you
Okay,
go,
so this green up here, that green, and this
yeah, if
Tory green.
yeah, if you look at your arrow here, see how it's because it's tied, so
Yes,
it's one lot.
wait, so what is one last?
This and this, yeah.
So it goes green, so south would make that Maple
Correct.
Street that I didn't.
Yeah, so this is the same, this is Anthony's garage as well, it's just different lots.
Okay,
And when it kind of bypasses, like it crosses a section or a street or
Okay.
something like that, it's got that link.
Yeah.
It's one lot, so this is Blissfield Village, Anthony's garage, that tiny little alley, which is the
this
middle.
the only
This,
access we
this
have.
right here,
Right here, up and down,
yeah, they were my
Yeah.
fence was,
Yeah.
okay, but yeah.
then you've got, see the tie here, that comes to the Pat Hine
That's
Trust
what I'm
property.
talking about,
Yeah, and then this is the village before it comes back to Monroe. So again, technically, it's almost landlocked right here, which again, how many people park there for, this is not our property.
So it's not.
This is not our property, this is not our property,
Is it?
we don't have access to it. So, again, when we
BL
talk
zeros,
cases,
there are no BL zeros on this map. Everything's a BL2. So it doesn't indicate we own anything unless it's the assumption that we own the streets.
We do all.
we do, and the streets is considered it's a village, that was the village property. And well, this one is the BL 2000. Right at the end of the footbridge.
That legend is saying that we do, because we've got this road right of way
Yeah.
here and then this parcel here. And I was trying to pull it up to show you too, but
Okay, but the thing is, the labels aren't correct then, correct?
yes, I do think the county's got some weird.
The labels are incorrect because all of the BL2s are on every lot.
Yeah.
And that indicates a taxable unit. According to the legend on the side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
And so since we own the street, don't we own from the middle of the street, how far
It just, you guys,
off?
it's just a tax ID, it doesn't mean it's taxable. It's just, yeah. I like
Okay,
to
but the
make-
thing is, there's nothing in here that says BL0.
Correct.
So I'm not Where is the water line?
That's, I
The
guess. that's
water
my
line
question.
runs, it connects over here and runs, I'm not.
So it's the
straight
purple
across here,
Water line?
and then it comes
No.
down in here
That's the property.
and runs
Okay.
over and then runs right along here and ties in.
So is it north or south of,
She has south of the alley road of Maple.
North of the highlighted lot.
Yeah, in the B,
It
the
comes
dash.
across the river
so it's in.
into the road right of way here, and then just south of this. In that kind of grassy area here, right along the edge and connects.
So do we have an easement or are we on their?
We're on our property and in our road right of way. We're fully on our property.
Okay, they bored all the way to here. That's my concern is right through here.
Right, we stayed in that right of way and then it comes down.
They popped out right here.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, but then.
We
then
bored
number-
under the river though.
Yes,
Where, because we had to get our. Right,
okay, as long as we're not, off our property, number one, and then number two, should we acquire, or should we talk to somebody about acquiring that property, then we own the part south of the.
I'm doing those as built, so I can send it to
Okay.
you as well, once I have the engineer.
We already own
finalize
it?
them.
We own the park, but we don't have the access to the park, like where everybody parks, we own a pavilion, right there, that's the path.
On the south of Maple Street,
This is the
that's
access we-
privately owned.
This little here is the park. This.
Yeah, out of town.
The only thing we own are what I circled right there.
This. That's what the arrows are
Yeah.
showing.
Oh, okay, so the arrows
So
are
they're
showing,
split, they're showing that it's connected because it's split by this road right
Okay.
away. And then we own this parcel. Here, and then we also own this parcel.
so we own this highlighted parcel here,
No, that is also in the Means garage.
we own this parcel up here.
Yep, this parcel here, this
Okay.
one over here. So the one he has highlighted, and then the two connecting arrows, those bottom pieces we don't own. But we maintain this road right of way here. So our access comes onto our property, through our road right of way, and then back on our property.
For the new.
And this is our
Or
only
the
access to the
Park,
park,
yeah.
Oh, I see.
right here,
Well, it's,
we can come here, can't we?
yeah.
Yeah.
And we
And-
access through here.
And we
but-
have this access piece right here,
That's,
Come through, but we don't know those three are.
Right.
that's an easement or that's our, we own,
No,
no, no, what?
you don't own that.
We don't own the little yellow strip?
Yes.
the road.
here.
Oh, this one, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, we don't, yes.
Okay.
That's our
Yeah.
access to get
So
into the
we
park.
have, so we own,
That's our right of way,
okay, and then we own this section here,
correct.
and so we can come in here on the park.
You can come in here, you can come in here as well.
So what is the issue?
The issue.
The issue is where's the water line?
That number one, and also number two, everybody parking for the pavilion is on private property.
Private property.
That
And if you
stone
decide
block
to
is not
complain, you
ours.
can say, no, it's parking.
And much like we had kind of, everybody, when the festival sets up along that river, you have access, that's technically not our property because we're landlocked by along the river.
I see, okay, I see what you're saying.
And Anthony's garage will have a reason,
Well, we're not landlocked completely, we have a right of way, but you are right that
but
that
that
is
may have been
private.
abandoned too, remember, because when we were. A few years ago, we were talking about abandoning those alleys, and again, I don't know if they went through.
Well, it's not filed,
It's passed or not, so.
so if it was abandoned, it's still showing we're the recorded owner on it. So typically, if they're abandoned, then the adjacent property owner split it equally.
Well, how do you delineate a 7-foot alley or 10-foot alley, what I mean, for people's sake? You go to the park through this 10-foot alley, what I mean, and stay off these other properties where people park. It would be nice to acquire that entire
Center
cell.
parking.
On, not our property.
Yeah, because they're parking on the north side of Maple there.
But we got
It's-
permission from Pat.
Oh, we did,
Yeah,
oh,
well, Pat's passed away,
Okay.
but from Miss Hutton.
Okay.
Well, from the realtor to be.
No, I talked to his son.
Oh, it wasn't.
Yeah.
So we have,
But we did get permission. But I've not talked to Anthony's garage ever.
do we know who is in it? Do we not actually know who owns it? I mean, can we put a face to it?
It's always got a big play.
Yeah, Anthony's garage.
I've talked to him before.
You've talked to Anthony's garage before?
Yeah, it's not Anthony, but yes.
My 5 minutes was this, one. You take 5 minutes?
Sorry,
No.
I'm just, again, throwing it out there, we can look into, again, acquiring, so we're not stuck down the road. If we can try to acquire that while it's being split, so.
Oh, it's going to be on our, yeah, on our radar. Mine is, wayfinding, we have gone ahead and, we, in our budget, have held the $15,000 back for wayfinding. I'm not saying we have to make a decision now, it's just something I think maybe, my opinion, we can put on our radar. Because I don't think we need to do welcome to Blissfield sign. I would rather take $15,000. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Pickleball. The pickleball court. I'm just throwing it out there, we don't, obviously, I talked to Danielle, it's been on our capital improvements. We didn't put out, we didn't see any money towards this year for 26, but we have in the past. I just think the wayfinding at one, in my opinion, at one point, I think the wayfinding signs were perhaps like a big round deal. I guess in my world are not such a big deal. Something out there.
I agree with you, but I think the wayfinding is crucial, sitting on the DDA board as well as, again, a cleanliness, things like that. They do look like crap. Number two, we should move them to the right area. TLC is fine, but move it out to the edge of town where it should be. Too, but again, pickleball, I agree. I think we have enough set aside in the general fund, and again, this is where I always nitpicking on things and trying to say, how do we pull stuff and put transfer everything out of the general fund? We set that 100 grand aside. We're talking with Mr. Farber potentially on property. We're talking about, moving things to the pool, et cetera. I think we have enough where we can take it. Again, I don't want to make promises, and I really don't like that whole concept of the Parks and Rec thing, kind of saying like, oh, let's have people come and spew ideas. Because again, we may be making promises we can't keep. You know what I mean?
Oh, no,
If people start saying, oh, well, we want to put it here, or we want to put it there, or you do this, you spend this much, we want this. So that's my kind of pump the brakes on that, but I think it is something we could do. I think we've got enough set aside on the general fund where you said. As the year progresses, maybe we can do this, maybe, you know what I mean? And I think I'm one of this. Again, my mentality is get it off the school just because. $36,000 a year. That we're not resupplementing, or 3 years, we're not resupplementing the,
And so they
you know,
are,
the water fund.
and that.
So again, let's continue dialogue with, Mr. Farber, we've got the other pool property out between the Little League.
So
I think we can do it.
I'm just saying, take the money from wayfinding, putting it toward.
There is a definite wish from the community, I agree. And again, it's
Oh,
for
I was saying,
pickleball.
I was saying,
So,
there is, and I just don't see again, personal, I don't see the need for the big wayfinding. I just don't. That's all.
Where do we stand on the tennis courts?
Nothing yet, they're trying.
We're waiting for.
I think-
Also, there.
Still waiting.
Yeah, I think he is really. Struggling, he's got a good school year started, that's where his focus is right now.
Yeah, but we have to also make our decisions for our ability.
No, I totally agree with that, that's, well, in fact, that was something that I know that you had reached out. and-
I did talk to them. I had reached out via email and I talked to them, talked to Scott Abbott on the phone and Scott Riley in person, and they are working on it. They are, I think, focused on getting the school started, but they are aware that we're trying to make decisions and they're trying to.
We had to make our budget, yeah.
Having us
Totally.
do that too.
Okay.
And we did allocate, 25,000, I think, for the tennis court / pickleball. I can double check that, but I'm pretty sure you guys said, let's put away something because we wanted to talk about that, and then we still have. I think it was $101,000 of wiggle room that you could allocate towards a project that would still leave you at the 3-month fund reserve for an emergency, which
White
is.
did theirs for 65, I think.
Oh, I know.
We could
Yeah.
have 2, and that's a start, and then
I agree.
people need to start putting their money where their mouth is, and you know, you get volunteers and donors.
That's what Parks and Rec wanted, is their fundraising ideas, is their, if you guys want these courts, instead of just saying, we want pickleball courts, how can you help us to come up with some ideas to find the solution and find the money?
I think they're coming,
October.
around October meeting for that.
But again, don't
It's
make
not to
promises. that
make-
can't
Oh,
keep. Or make,
there will be no
you know,
promises.
let's throw ideas.
Parks and Rec is gonna make no promise of where it's gonna be, when it's gonna occur. No, that is,
But their, I think their
We-
goal was that if you guys want these, help find some solutions
exactly.
and working ideas to
Yeah,
make
and work as
this.
Well,
One
but
group rather
when Ray
than
came up here and said,
everybody.
he says, you know, we want pickleball, court. Well, good for you, buddy. I'm glad you do.
But how do we
But
get,
how do we get there? Come up with, just like anything else. Okay, you're not doing your job right. Well, then give me a suggestion. You don't do that. You gotta say, this is what needs to be done, and this is how it needs to be done. Okay, then keep the wayfinding on 15. Thanks for listening.
12 minutes, but
Was not.
anybody else? Great dialogue, appreciate everybody.
you.
Thank you, guys.